Hello.
Are we live? Is this thing on?
It is on. We are live.
What's up?
So, I just woke up and did a like fasting blood test, and
Okay.
I saw a number that was a little higher than expected. I
Yeah.
was like, huh, eh, okay. So, I feel as if like the physical and mental honeymoon is over because it's like, okay, dude, uh, while I've been avoiding sugar for a long time now, I kind of
hmm
stopped paying strict attention for at least the trip, and like then I woke up and I was like, I don't like that number. So before that turns into anything, it's like, all right, time to for real, just stop fucking around.
How do you take a fasting blood test?
Oh, so you can get a little thing that like is a prick on your finger, and then there's a machine that you drop the blood onto.
Now I got a prick on my finger.
There you go.
For those of you not watching the audio vision version,
He's pointing.
I'm poking my own head with my finger.
He touched it. So
uh,
then you drop it
no,
your blood
I
on.
know how to get it. I just wanted to make that joke.
Cat. So
But
yeah,
yeah, you prick your finger and you put the blood on the tab, and then the tab tells you you're gonna die.
and the tab literally has a frowny face on it.
Shut up!
I swear to
No
God.
way!
I swear to God. It's always had a happy face. And then I looked at it this time and it had a frowny face on it. And I was like, oh boy. They're not messing around. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not that. I mean, it probably wasn't hilarious in the moment, but like from a sub top level view, totally detached.
Yeah. Well, it's dominating my thoughts, at the moment cuz like I definitely didn't wake up and expect to see that, but um I mean it all my body is so fucking weird at times. I feel as
Yeah, it's too
if,
tall, too big.
well, there's that. But I feel as if I thought I create every time I think I create some leeway, I really don't. And I think age is just the multiplier on that, perhaps, because when I was doing okay, and I was like, in the boxing and in the running and doing all of it at max health mode, I I I thought I created some like durability, and I might have because my back only exploded towards the end of this isolation time, you know,
hmm
and that
Towards the end of the isolation time implies that you didn't just go right back into isolation as soon as
it,
you got back.
well, exactly, right. So that's the problem. I did,
Oh, I'm
but
sorry, I hit the microphone, everyone.
then that's my first thing, and then like the second thing is, even though I was like slacking in terms of just like working out and such, I was still keeping my low sugar thing up until we went on the honeymoon. So that's when I said, all right, let's enjoy whatever we're gonna have while we're out here and stuff. um you want to be able to like fucking taste your cake, right? So um I did toss caution to the wind there, and then
hmm
now I'm like, well, that was 3 weeks approximately of caution to the wind, and my body's already giving me signs that you're a fucking idiot that shouldn't have done that.
I'm just thinking, is it possible? Is it possible that the real source of this incoming sweetness is somehow related to an internalized chemical process that is a result of flying kites.
Oh, man. Oh, dude, the only cure is to kill your newfound hobby in the fucking crib. The only
A much
way.
darker metaphor than I was expecting to go for,
Well,
but
it
okay.
brings me joy. It brings me joy right now, and if it's related to that, that would be terrible. But no, I would assume that is going to be a good thing, because it'll get me outside and moving around, if anything. Yeah, I don't know, man. But you obviously, you don't want to get the bad news that doesn't goes away, you know? Like, the bad news type 2, you know? So,
You need to grow a fucking thicker mustache. You need to get the Brimley going on.
preemptively?
Yeah, you need to cover the whole upper lip so that when you say barbarous, it just really bursts out from the bristles.
Okay, well, that'll happen if that gets confirmed. But
Okay.
if it doesn't, then I don't need to grow it out yet.
Oh, okay.
The problem is, though, when I let it rock and I don't trim and it starts to grow over the lip, then you just look really hobo unkempt, like
yeah,
in the bad ways.
I mean, that's true. But at the same time, you know,
Do you ever have a moment? No, you wouldn't. But do you ever,
no, you got to finish that question. Come on.
do you ever have a moment when where you just look at your reflection at a moment in time, and what you see shocks you into never looking that way again?
Yeah, I actually had that moment 10 weeks ago or whatever.
Okay.
Like, I think I had finished up the Disco Elysium, and I went to brush my teeth, and I looked in the mirror, and I'm like, "Oh, this is too similar. I gotta go to a fucking barber and get this shit," because I had the whole insanity thing going on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't become mad scientist Pat anymore. I'm a professional. I'm making deals. I'm an ambassador for good taste. I can't be looking like I crawled out of a bottle.
You're a big shot.
There it is. There it is. I had a lot of fun last week, just sneaking in a bunch of Deltarune quotes that you couldn't possibly have known about into the podcast.
So
Spam is the best.
he's strong. He's strong. So for me, what had happened was way back when I lived like 2 places ago at the old spot, which you might remember, like downtown, which is fucking all boarded up and shut down now. Weirdly, I don't.
Cool.
It looks like a haunted house for some reason. Anyway,
Really fucked that place up, huh?
yeah, left it in fucking flames. No, I was just basically, there was back then I had there was a time when I was wearing this green long, kind of like military-ish looking jacket.
Yeah, okay, I see it in my mind.
You remember that thing?
I remember
Yeah,
that jacket. Yeah,
and it had the Rock Howard wings on the back, his jacket star and wing thing, his logo. Yeah. So I used to wear that for a bit, and that was like a fun look. And then there was a time when I started also just randomly, you know, I'd wear these kind of like green kind of pants, you know, or like kind of like military looking pants as well.
Yeah.
And I'd never really wear them together, right?
No.
Except for like one time when I combined them. I combined the matching green pants, military green pants, and then that jacket. And I also had just, I don't know, like my facial hair was in a particularly ratty state. and I was
Okay.
leaving the mall, and I looked at my reflection of like that full outfit, and I just saw pure hobo, and it shook me.
You saw, look, you spare $1 for a chopper pie was in Nam, and
I did.
Was,
I did, and it shook me, and it fucking made me go like, okay, dude, you have to figure this out and balance it, right? So like the look, the hair, the piercings, the whole thing, all of that, and then you gotta balance it with like clothes that doesn't also look like you're fucking homeless. You know? And it was just a really like, okay, dude, like, yeah, get some pants, get a shirt, do something, balance it out, you know? Which is why I'm a huge fan of like having this kind of like head and putting a suit underneath it. But that's the whole thing, is just like that reflection was a fucking shock.
I'm just thinking that the most intense like version of this that I've ever had was the one day in my life ever that I went just mustache.
Oh, that turns you into middle school teacher.
It was not good.
No.
And I'm never going to do it again.
No, that turns you into, hey kids, did you do your homework? Stay after class. Okay, Mr. Boyvin.
It had very much Paul Blart Mall Cop like face going on. Just don't care for it. No.
Pocket protector.
No, not doing that again.
Pen sticking out. Yeah.
It's bad.
But anyway, so that's kind of how I stopped wearing that thing.
I see.
It just, yeah, no, it was a moment, you know.
So, aside from sad frowny face type 2 hobosity, what up?
That's good. That's not too bad.
Oh, crick in the neck.
I did a couple things. For one, I spent some time with that Melty blood.
Oh, Yoshinori Ono's Melty blood.
Yoshinori Ono's very own.
I see.
I had to, man. I saw that tweet.
Here you go, honey.
I had to keep moving. I couldn't stop on it.
I didn't fully understand what was like the gross and or awful part of that quite at first until I realized like he just went over there.
Not to French bread, to the producer, to the production company, and the phrasing, which some people said might be a translation issue, where Ono said, you know, Melty Blood's doing great, number one selling game on Steam. Thanks to everybody who got it. You know, I'm very happy with the success as I've just started my new job at my company. Or something along those lines, which it was just a weird tweet that sounded like it was taking credit for what French bread did, and it didn't rub anyone the right way.
Hey, you know what? As somebody who has been following Yoshinori Ono's career as closely as anyone probably could, I don't think you should give him the benefit of the doubt on that. I think he really meant, haha, Melty Blood, good for me, my company, oh no time. I think that's what he was really feeling in his heart when he said that. Do you guys know that I save Street Fighter the same way I'm saving Melty Blood?
Wait for
is probably a quote.
Wait for the new toy to hold up in the photos, you know, and he's gonna ask everyone to hold up their box cutters and rip their glasses off, and he'll yell something about burning your magic circuit while he takes a photo of Neko Arc. Yeah, that's the one.
I think the thing that threw me real bad was the trifecta of Ono, but also it's like I thought people were mad because it was like my internalized reading of this is that the world is a toilet now. If Melty Blood is the #1 selling game on Steam, like we're all in the bathroom now. And then I had this moment in my head where I didn't fully connect it, where he says, Melty Blood's the #1 game on Steam. And I'm like, no, it's fucking not.
Well, there's that too.
That's a lie. That's just a straight up lie. Maybe in Japan.
There's a type of person who I've met a few times that joins a team and then immediately starts taking credit for the things that existed when he joined.
Or things that had been created and died before and after he left. Like,
God, man. It's just, yeah. Well, that...
Oh, you know what that guy's name is? Bethesda, the inventor of the first-person shooter.
What's the story?
So when Doom, I want to say Eternal, came out, or was coming out, fucking not Pete Hines. Who the fuck was it? Was it Pete Hines? Somebody from Bethesda went up on fucking stage and was like, we here at Bethesda are proud to be, you know, the creators of the first-person shooter with Doom. Because they had bought id Software.
Okay.
And they had retroactively become the creators of the first-person shooter genre.
The probably most garbage thing about people like that is that it often works because that's how you clout surf and you say it enough until people believe it.
And then they name their kids after jet engines.
Or whatever the fuck.
Whatever the fuck's going on with that.
Yeah. Man. Well, look, I you know, that's the type of tweet that everyone will look at here and go like, that's silly. But someone who makes decisions that has some power somewhere might look at that and go, oh, that Ono character, he made a good game there. That's doing well.
To those who don't know what the jet engine joke was about, it was making fun of the rich person Elon Musk for naming his kid some abomination of X-A-E-12.
X-Ash A12.
You know what? I rarely would comment on this. I'm so glad those two are splitting up because now we get to see a headline that says who will get custody of baby X, which is hilarious to me. Like it's the baby.
My honest hope is that the child is able to just get away with being called Ash and have a normal life.
Oh, they're super rich. They'll never have a normal life.
Well, I suppose, but
to the detriment of you and I.
But where the fuck was I?
Oh no.
No, Melty.
Melty, right.
Actually playing the game Melty Blood type Lumina.
I've heard this game has an auto combo button like an Arxis game, but on every button.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, so does Dragon Ball, sort of. Well, no, Dragon Ball has it on A and B. In this case, it's on A, B, and C. But you know, it's auto combos on whatever button after you get the initial hit out. That is, it's not a big deal in my opinion. I mean, I expect to see that going forward into most things because. It'll allow people to just jump on and kind of do a thing and then, you know, feel good about it. So that's a feature that's probably here to stay in a lot of games going forward. Not all of them, but certainly some. But yeah, I tweeted it out yesterday, but like one of the first things that I was just realizing playing it was it feels really cool to move around before round start. You get a little bit of movement in like Marvel, where you can just kind of walk forward and backwards slowly.
A little bit to the left, a little bit to the right.
Right, and there's something intimidating about like I'm up in your face, like what, you know? But like in this case, it's full dashes, full movement, full jumps, whatever you want, and that is really like fun and interesting. You know, you can kind of do things that like you can have a cross up started as soon as go active is stated. You know, you can have like a mix pre-installed and in the middle of happening. You can also feel when some people will have like rounds 1 and 2 of the first. They'll play the first game and they just won't move. They'll just be like, yeah, I'll just play whatever. But then when you beat them and then you play a rematch, now they're just dashing at you like, fuck this guy, you know?
They're just wave dashing into the dirt a million times a second.
So there's that aspect of it. And yeah, it just reminded me how much I really like that. I think that's a pretty fun thing that I like in more fighters in general. I mean, again, the standing still thing is also it's a way of just like you have to guess what's going to come first. What are your actions?
Yeah, I'm going to assert dominance by pretending I'm not actually at the computer. I'm just going to stand there, and then they're going to hit me once, and they're going to be like, oh, cool, he's not there. And then when I suddenly wake up with 30% of my health remaining, that's going to scare them to the point where I can kill them. That's I've
had some weird matches like that. But yeah, so that's there. I'm having some fun. Just playing this game that is like where you that whole thing about like open your magic circuit, turn your magic circuit, burn your magic circuit is real. Like there's so much meter coming and going. In a lot of cases for me right now, it's going faster than it's coming, and you need it because it's like, you know, imagine if like you had. It's like literally you have 3 buttons, and you know, old Melty like worked this way too, but it's just like the strong version of every one of your attacks is like a metered EX. It's like a super, basically, you know, a mini super in a way. And the subsystem that is getting the most discussion, I'd say, is the shield. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've seen anything about this, but
I've seen shit all. I don't even know what this game looks like aside from there being a character that seems mostly red, that you can fit 13 or 14 of her sprite inside the hitbox for her super.
Okay.
That's the only thing. That is literally the only thing I've seen of Melty Blood.
So there is her, and she does like Tetsuzankos and stuff. Miyako. The system that they have going is that there's light, medium, heavy attack, and then the 4th button is shield. And shield will absorb a hit, and then you can press a button to follow up. And if you press like light or heavy, it'll do like a launcher. So it'll just follow up with a launcher that lets you do an air combo. Or if you press medium, you'll teleport behind them like Dante style, you know? And then you'll do a little aerial hit. So what the thing about it is that after I shield your attack and then swing at you, there's another thing I can do, which is like an instant dash across your body. That's just very fast. That attacks you. So I get those options. After you attack me and your attack gets shielded by me, you can then hit shield so that we clash again. And then I can hit shield and then clash again. So you have a bunch of moments that are like ba 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 teleport ba ba ba, where just a bunch of flashy nonsense is going on, and you're playing a quick game of rock paper scissors, and it looks shiny, but it's kind of insane.
I think I think I actually have scrolled past that. Like people doing that in the air, and then they clash, and then they're behind each other, and then they clash, and they're behind. Looks like some anime shit.
It does. So Dragon Ball had a reflect system that lets you just push away the opponent, and you could use it in a similar fashion. But what would happen is after you did it in Dragon Ball, you both would get spaced out, and then you'd have to like engage. In this case, it keeps the whole the whole sequence going until someone gets hit or you both fucking whiff on some wild shit, And they clearly wanted this to be in the system of the game, and they wanted this to be what people saw because, like, it's very easy to do. It happens unintentionally if you're just like, if you just kind of panic, and you swing and then hit that shield button afterwards, you can end up with a pretty long sequence of that going on. And then the final big super anime attacks that you can do, one of the ways to trigger them is by entering what they call blood heat and then shielding anything.
Right.
And then it auto triggers. So this is an intentional little like RPS system in the game. And like, yeah, I feel like it's kind of fucking batshit crazy and it's RPS-y, but it does do the job of making spectators go, whoa, holy shit, anime fighting is going on.
Well, I mean, rock, paper, scissors is fair. So there's no danger there of like, it ruining the game. How often in a match are you doing this?
Low
what
level
percentage of a match? I mean, yeah.
Low level. When I first started, I feel like the beginners were throwing it out there. The thing is that it's not. You don't have infinite shield. You have it drains after you using a little moon meter.
Oh well, there you go.
So there is a regulator in place for it, right? But I feel like low level. I see a lot of people attempting to use it unsuccessfully. And then approaching mid, which is like kind of where I'm at, I'm seeing it get used like less randomly, much more frequently and tightly. But when it does get used, like you have to play the game, It's almost like when it's like the wager system in Injustice or something like that, where it's like okay, or the reversal edge, in Soul Calibur 5, right?
What if I don't want to play Melty Blood?
Then
can't I just do this shield thing all day?
No, because you're gonna get your shit wrecked and it's gonna be spent and over. You could also play without it and try to rely on, normal blocking and movement and reversals.
Old-fashioned loser blocking.
Yeah, that works too. And that's fine. But there is a mix of like, there's high low to it. You can get grabbed. There's a couple ways to deal with it, but it's a very aggressive system that's put in on one button that allows you to like just create these insane spectacle moments. Imagine Third Strike had a parry button, but it was like you could hold it for a period of time, and it would drain like I don't know. Let's say you're an extra meter, so you had a couple seconds of it, And then after anything,
weird.
Yeah. It's a very aggressive use of it that it used to exist in the previous games, but this is like dialed it up quite a bit. But I'm having fun with the game. Right now, I feel like it is rollback. I've had some clean matches. I've had some bad matches though, and I started having a bunch of matches that were getting really rough. So I had to restrict, my games to like having people with at least over a bar for now. That helped, but
does moving around in the pre-fight actually change anything?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, I mean netcode wise.
Oh, I don't know. But I can definitely say that
people I'm seeing it don't skip the intro on PC because it screws up the fucking sync.
That's been a thing for a while in ArcSys games. I've always been told by like people who play, let the intros rock specifically to allow it to connect and sync better. I'm not playing on PC. I'm playing on console because I heard there
Yeah.
was I heard there was other issues on PC. Um, that's I still fucking hate this thing of like new fighting game drops. Where are we going? Is it decided? Is there a consensus? What are we playing? You know?
Well, I mean, that's the natural result of these games being available on more platforms.
mhm.
Like back in the day, the answer is where are we going? The only console it's releasing on is where we're going.
And then it would also be like, hey, ideal world crossplay doesn't matter. Go where you want.
Yeah.
But sadly, that ain't the case. So for now, I'm playing on console. But yeah, my observations have been I've had some bad matches where I'm just like, get me the fuck out of here, and I've had some good matches, and I'm starting to restrict them. So I don't know. I have to get some more games in, but like, I feel as if, and then I went to player match for a while too, out of ranked, and there I've been seeing a lot more zero barred rooms than strong connection rooms, and it's weird, but like their decision to split things up online was ranked will queue you up with one person, whereas the player match forces a lobby. So
Well, that seems
even
fine.
but it does slow the process down a bit. It would be nice if you could just queue up for a player match, on its own. But in any case, that's kind of how it feels online right now. I'm being a diligent about like who I'm connecting to and stuff. But the other thing that I noticed is it's an interesting discussion that popped up. Right, I believe. Giuna was saying like, hey, I think it's time we got to get rid of like win percentages and like stats, because remember how I was complaining about how I couldn't see my exact stats in whatchamacallit, Strive, right?
Yeah.
So in this game you can see matches played and matches won against from whatever your opponent has. And I've experienced a little bit of it, and like I'm hearing that some people are experiencing a lot of people who are seeing your number and kind of just going fuck this and disconnecting.
Oh, they can see it during the load up.
Pre-connection, pre-match, you can cancel. So you can choose.
Oh, you shouldn't be able to see that.
In ranked, you shouldn't, right?
No, that's ridiculous.
Exactly. So in ranked matches, you connect to somebody, and the thing is usually, but you do want to see how their connection strength is, right? So on the one hand, you want to be able to connect to somebody, see the strength of the connection, and go like, "Ooh, that's horrible. Get me out of there. That ping is through the roof." But on the other hand, when you see the ratio of their wins, you see some people are like fuck that, I'm getting out of here, and then they don't fight you. So their only ranked matches are by whatever they opt in to select, right? This then leads to some people who have particularly high win ratios based on that selection method, and these people are almost guaranteed to rage quit if you beat them on round one. Because they're like, I don't want my win percentage to go down,
Right.
So the discussion was like, showing the stat creates something that people can't handle. They can't handle their percentage being low. It hurts the ego too much, and it makes them quit. And if you hide that, then they're not going to do that,
It's interesting because like I'm thinking back to certain shooters. I want to say Overwatch did this, but I'm not 100% certain, where your kill death ratio was actually obfuscated because the amount of points you would get through like team activities and assists also counted as kills for stuff like that. And that was an intention to get people to fucking relax about that shit. I think back to I want to go back to like Battlefield 2 back in the aughts, where when they started doing that squad stuff, and the big thing was like, no, taking out vehicles and playing to your class's strength will get you more points for your squad and, you know, more, you know, progression, whatever the fuck, than your KD ratio.
But what would people see?
But the KD ratio was still on the screen.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
people would fucking camp out in the most annoying places and ignore their squad completely and lose the match, but go, yeah, but my KD was like 2.2 to 1.
It is really an interesting discussion around the psychology of, like, you know, I mean, we can call it cowardice, but it's like, it's really like, it's a bad feeling thing that a player comes in and sees and goes like, oh, I feel bad, I have to protect that number and I'm gonna do whatever it takes, and now my priority isn't having fun or trying to get better, it's protecting that number at all costs, you know? And that is immediately a, like, poisoning of where your intentions should be, and like, kind of, you know, and what's fun about playing the game, right? It's some bullshit. And I mean, if you have that mentality, like, you know, these people will often, it feels like they'll be, in some cases they'll just be scrub quotes, but in other cases they'll be, I've seen people who are like, no, I admit it, it's my habits, it bothers me seeing that number go down, and I'm just gonna do whatever it takes because it feels bad, right? So
it's interesting to me because I mean, I've been very public. I suffer from obsessive compulsive disorder, which is like tied directly into this kind of numerical mind shenanigans. But I've played a lot of shooters that used a lot of different point systems, and it's been my experience that if there is any way to hit tab or select or anything to obfuscate any form of kill death ratio, it doesn't matter what numbers you give any other action. It doesn't matter what kind of shiny fucking lights you attach to getting the flag or capturing the point or whatever. You will still have people like furious that the guy who didn't get that many kills but who got the flag 6 times was the person who was MVP in the game because, well, they're KD. It's like, it is like such an intensely vital, like overpowering number. And in fighting games, all there is your kill death ratio.
Yes, and you're by yourself.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's all it is.
So the interesting. So the thing
I don't know
is,
how you could fix it other than actually, just removing it entirely.
So the discussion goes in a couple places, because now you look at how Guilty Gear Strive decided to address it by just completely removing that number and then putting you on floors and letting you stay at the floor that you're comfortable with, right? And also picking the opponents you want. So in a sense, they created it's not really true ranked, because you're not facing the world, you're facing whatever you choose to let through your filter. So there's that, but you can stay at the place you feel comfortable with, and, you know, obfuscating that number hides some of that feeling. So there's still people rage quitting, but maybe there's an argument where some could say people would rage quit more if that number were shown forcefully every single time, you know? And so I personally am someone who obviously would love to have that number, and even if it's hidden, give me a place I can go behind 5 menus to get to it. If you have to do that, whatever, just show it to me so that I can learn and decide, like, you know, my own, like, I can keep track of my progress.
It's funny because I want to say, like, 2 months ago, we were, like, laughing ourselves stupid about, like, the idea of a system that would surface your win-loss ratio against, like, specific players or even matchups upon starting the match to shame you. Only think of now, after, you know, it's no longer a funny joke. It's like, yeah, no, that stuff probably makes a shittier experience because people will just quit. So they'll just bail.
So it turns out that, like, one of the possible solutions to this was solved by Virtua Fighter. In that Virtua Fighter,
is it an online fighting game that no one can adequately play online, so that this problem doesn't exist?
Correct. Online doesn't matter because it doesn't fucking work. So then everybody just shuts up and stops and goes home.
Problem solved.
So Virtua Fighter allowed you to choose what information you wanted displayed. So you could hide the number that you're embarrassed by, thus not caring about it, thus potentially playing like less of a douche.
You ever played Dead or
But who
Alive 4
knows?
online?
No, I don't think so.
You know what happens when you lose 5 or 10 matches in that game?
Mm.
You get a 0-point achievement that calls you a loser and can't come off your account.
Just burnt in.
Yep. It's the most toxic fucking thing I've ever seen a game do to your fucking profile. It's astonishing.
Yeah. That's some people are gonna laugh and smile at that, and others are gonna seethe into a pile.
Oh yeah.
But I think that somewhere along the lines, because as we've established, being able to accept or deny a ranked match based on connection quality is fair and important, but denying it based on the skill you see is then like defeating the purpose of ranked, in my opinion. So that shouldn't be the case. So I think really, yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to sound like a shit here, but what you just said was so naive. I cannot believe you even said. The point of ranked matches in a fighting game is so that I can win and feel good.
Yes.
Like, this competition shit you're talking about or whatever, what planet are you from? The point of me sitting down on Saturday night and fucking loading up Guilty Gear or fucking DBZ and hitting that rank button is so that I can beat on some fucking idiots and win and feel good about myself. And if I need to fucking make a new account in League of Legends and smurf people in bronze, then goddamn it, I'm gonna do it.
Who's gonna do it? Me.
That's right. You got it.
Me.
Like combating that mentality is much more difficult than the rest.
It is, because what I'm trying to get to.
Sorry, I remember when we talked about the cheater people, the people who were like interviewed about buying cheats.
Yes,
and they're like, I don't, like they just don't care, and they're like, it's my game. I don't give a fuck. I just want to play it and have fun.
Yeah,
it's remarkably straightforward.
So there's always going to be those people, and there's very little you can do about that except for keep track of, if possible, their disconnection rates and then show you that. Dragon Ball would show you a color that said, hey, this person disconnects very often.
Right? I really like that. That was one of my favorite implementations.
Fantastic. That's great. So what I'm getting at here is that we have another case of if excuse me. If we all looked at each other's homework and started grabbing the best of all these different implementations for online, you can get something that minimizes that behavior, because it makes those people, they're not going to have as much fun. And the people who do stick around and act that way will still be there, but it'll turn off some of that inherent toxicity and bullshit, especially if it's someone who doesn't think they're going to be that way, but then suddenly feels that way in the middle of a match. And you're like, I didn't know I was a rage quitter until I rage quit, Like, if you're one of those people that just like, I don't have the control, it just happened. Fuck those people. But
I've been in rooms.
Take away that incentive. Like, make it so that the stat, you don't see it right away. That number that defeats you, that burns in, that makes you suddenly start being a shit. Fine, hide that number. Right? Don't make it completely, utterly out of the game, but take it away from the default matchup screen and just show the connection strength and how often the person disconnects.
I remember being in high school and playing fighting games against other of the local kids, and the children that would go on to be rage quitting adults, I can look back and I can see them. I can see a kid named James who bragged about how he could beat anyone in rival schools for like a week and a half and kept dodging kids is like, oh, let's go to your house and play it then. He's like, no, I'm busy. And then like me and some other kids went there and like everyone could beat him and I perfected him And like I literally just used Shoma and like popped him up in the air and did the textbook combo, and like midway through the second round, he like smashed his fucking controller and like stormed out of his own room and told us all to leave his house. And it's like, oh, look,
there it is. There he is.
There it is. There's the personality type that grows up to do this.
100%.
And his brother was so embarrassed. His brother was like a much nicer kid. And he was just like, oh, fucking...
Well, you're in his house when he IRL rage quitted. So now you have to find your way out. You know?
Oh, man.
And unlike a rage quit nowadays, which fucks up, you know, like 30 seconds of your time, that possibly fucked up your afternoon. You know? So, yeah. That baby.
You know what? I know... I'm 35. I feel like I've finally hit that age where I can start doing that. And what I'm about to do. Rage quitting. Do you know whose rage quitting's fault is? Really? At the core? The parents. Because when fucking little Billy fucking lost his shit at 6 years old and spiked his Xbox controller into the dirt and it shattered into a million pieces, they bought him another one.
He was rewarded for it.
Or at the very least, not inconvenienced.
Yeah. Yeah. There was no coping mechanism put in place to deal with not getting your way, and thus you entered adulthood assuming and continuing to think that that's how you deal with displeasure. Yeah.
Also, do you remember like being in high school or even younger and playing fighting games against like kids that would like get like their eyes popping out of their fucking heads, screaming, angry?
Yeah.
And think about like, do their fucking parents not see them losing their fucking minds at home over shit like this?
Of course, but that's not fun. But that's not fighting games. That's been people screaming at their mouse and keyboard while their parents are going, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" for years now, you know? And the sounds of monitors getting thrown off the table. It's a thing, you know? Like, that is just, you're seeing anger issues that are coming from people that weren't taught how to handle those moments, you know?
I remember.
You can get pretty far in life without needing to learn that.
I knew a kid named Eric, and he had two younger brothers, and Eric was like, okay, I guess. But the two younger brothers were the most violent, aggressive, stupid shitheads I've ever seen in my life. And I remember going over there and thinking like, wow, I don't know, like, how the fuck did these kids end up this fucked up? And then the two start roughhousing, and then the mother just appears to scream louder than I've ever heard a human being yell. Just, fucking stop it! And then, like, on the way out, like, I see the dad who looks like one drink from suicide hiding in the garage working on, like, a boat or something. And I'm like, oh, that's how that happened.
You got the portrait. You got the family portrait.
Wow, I just got to see the cause and effect in every possible fucking line connecting in like a 5-minute span, and that person is dodging the second round in Melty Blood.
Because they have larger problems. Yes, this is true. This is true. You know, but it is definitely clearly something that you'd think there'd be some obvious solutions, like just go, well, make a disconnect count as a loss, but then that creates a whole new problem where people can jump online with their friends and then lose on purpose and then just artificially spam their way up the rankings. You know, especially if you can deny your matches until you get your friend, you know?
Yeah, it's really funny. That phenomenon has become so bad that in games that have like I'm gonna say well-maintained rank systems, it's led to the situation where if like your friend and not you are too far apart in rank, you're just not allowed to play together. You're just not allowed, because that shit, you're either gonna boost or you're gonna boost down for nefarious fucking purposes.
I mean, to extrapolate back at that level where you're talking about like age and the parents and going into that like scope on things, to keep it at that Zoom level, I would say another statement here is, I think it's important to get or be into some form of hobby or game of whatever your choice is at some point in your life. It's important to be into something where you have to lose regularly.
Yeah.
Right? So I've seen people talk about this with martial arts, and I've heard people describe like getting into jiu-jitsu, for example, as one of the most humbling things ever, because the process of learning is getting your ass beat over and over and over again until you have no ego about being a cool, strong guy that's going to win. You get fucking humbled instantly, constantly, and immediately, and it changes the way you think. You know?
Yeah. I remember my parents always told me, I mean, Pat, you're pretty smart, but you're never going to be the smartest. Yeah, you might even be the smartest kid in your class right now. But eventually you're going to go out into the world and you're not going to be the smartest. And you're not going to be the best at anything and blah, blah, blah. You know, that kind of speech. But it never really fucking took until I was like 14 or 15 and I did like a martial arts class with what ended up being my French teacher after school. And I would get my ass kicked by adults like once a week for maybe 18 months. And only to realize, like, oh, yeah, I'm learning cool moves. I can do it. And it's like, okay, we're going to pair you with the 45-year-old dude who came in to learn this new one because he has a second dan in karate. And he's going to spar with you. And dude just flips me like a fucking doll. I'm like, oh, my cool moves. They didn't. And, oh, man.
Yeah.
There's a whole world out there. Plenty of strong guys.
I think people who get into zero-sum games at some point in life are like, you learn something. It teaches you how to deal with losing and how to deal with like self-improvement and how to focus on the right things, you know? There, you know, I quote it from time to time, but I remember that study about being told your when you do really well in your class, being told you're very smart versus being told you work very hard, and the effect that has on kids.
Yeah,
and
you know what the effect is? I'll tell you right now. I was told, oh, wow, Patrick, you're so smart. Wow, you're the smartest kid in this class. And that led to the situation that I went to. I flew through all the way to the end of Sejep and got to university and discovered I did not know how to study.
There you go.
At all.
There you go. Right? But you're so smart, you know?
Oh, yeah? Oh, man, that natural shit stopped carrying me about 4 classes into university when they're pointing me at a fucking sodium fucking gate for your goddamn brain neurons. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this is. God damn it. Shit.
So the result of that study was the class of students. There was 2 of them. One group of students were told and praised for how smart they were, and the others were praised for how hard they worked. And the students that in both classes were given harder and harder problems until eventually they were given problems way beyond their possible understanding at a university level. And the students in the class that were praised for how smart they were gave up instantly and just quit, and like you know, in some cases were crying. The worst feelings, like, you know, tears and just anger and rage, and they all gave up. And the hard workers kept at it despite not even having, you know, the answers, but like stayed in longer essentially before they went, hey guys, you don't know the answers here, you know?
Let me get this straight. We're delving into child psychology on this. Is real interesting. What you're saying is that the optimal way to stop this is to repeatedly place the child in complete no-win situations in which they can't possibly win. And this will break down their ego as they learn that success is random and mutable.
But continuously praise them for never giving up.
Yeah, this is tough because this is actually like 60-70% of the way that you accidentally induced what's called learned helplessness. in which
perfect for your
if you
perfect for your fucking factory job, working on the line, pissing in your bottles.
Yeah,
you know?
if you subject people to circumstances that will negatively affect them and create a situation in which it does not appear that their efforts make any conceivable difference, you create learned helplessness, and then the dog doesn't even try and jump off the electrified plate anymore. They just whimper. Oops, it's complicated. You know what? This is a great example to bring up something that I've been trying to figure out how to bring up on the podcast for a while, because what the whole discussion we're talking about is things that happen inside game studios, right? You got a bunch of people sitting around going, "Oh man, how do we make the player do this and how do we make the player do that? Because the player behavior will tend towards this if we do this, and yada 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 yada." And one guy says, "Hey, I took Psychology 101 and Cognitive Behavior 102 at my local community college." And then a different guy says, "Ooh, I have a book on operant conditioning." And they go, "Did you hear about a Skinner box where you give the rat the cocaine and then you can you zap it, or the Pavlov dog thing?
Rat Park, Pavlov's dog.
You can make
Stanford prison.
Do anything. All you got to do is operantly condition them." And this is something
press the pain button
with Doc a good deal about, where it's you have all these armchair game developer psychologists who read like 2 books on operant conditioning, and they go, we can gamify and operant condition the shit out of our players. So they do this and do that and buy this.
And then they create a gacha.
Yeah, but there's a problem here. There's the piece of the research that they don't look at. When you... Pavlov's dogs, you know, the salivary gland thing, the operant conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what happens to those dogs? They bite their handlers.
Oh.
You know what happens to monkeys that you operantly condition? They become anxious and violent.
Yeah, they get violent. They get real violent.
Hey, if you do, sorry, I'm mixing up classical and operant here, but when you psychologically manipulate people to do what they want, to do what you want, using little dirty tricks, they become upset and toxic. And isn't it a little like you notice there's certain genres that are just like the toxic beacons of like League of Legends, like MOBAs are just like the most toxic shit ever, or the Genshin Impact community is like the worst thing ever. It's like, do you think maybe the design isn't just making players act badly in game? You're actually making them stressed out and angry and upset, and that little Jimmy who throws his controller because he can't handle losing in a fighting game is now being acted on by these psychological pressures that have been tuned to his psyche to make him spend money, and now he's an asshole that can't stop dropping hard R's.
So what you're saying is, in Melty, every time someone disconnects, their character should get weaker by about 5%.
Oh, man.
Every time they disconnect, everything their character does drops by about 5%. And you just don't tell them. It's just a secret number.
Yeah, it's hidden.
Secret number. You know?
That, you know what? That'd be a great version of Loser Jail, which is like every disconnect on a character leads to a like 1% loss in stats across the board.
God.
So like if somebody's rage quit like 50 times, like their character is literally doing half the damage and taking twice the damage.
See, the problem is that like these types of things require a battle planner and a game director that is willing to sit down in an interview with IGN or whoever and look them dead in the face and go, yeah, no, that's correct. We did that. Fuck those people.
Oh, so Yoko Taro's fighting game.
Essentially, you know? Or look them in the face and go, I have no idea what you're talking about.
What are you talking about? They're like, well,
as they wear a mask
the
on.
Rage Quitter account that we made for this it's doing half the damage. Like, oh, that's weird.
Huh.
Pass that along to QA, I guess.
We'll get that over to the team. Yeah.
Oh man.
So the nothing new under the sun. The world goes on, and Type Lumina has this initial vibe, but it's a fun game, and I'm enjoying the stuff it's doing. I'm playing Ciel, who I played in the old games, and yeah, that's all cool. So gonna take a look at that.
How does it stack up to the old Melty Blood?
I mean, it's prettier. I feel like I can, like, and maybe it's just because I didn't put the time in, but I kind of do feel like I can do more with the different types of metered abilities you've got in the game now, because you've got like regular specials, and you've got the EXs, and then you've got the moon specials, which have different properties that require no meter, but they use moon meter, and you can combo with those, and then you can use those to cancel into other things, including like your final attacks, your final like arc drive, type thing. So there's a lot of stuff happening with the system and the types of moves you're using. So by spending a little bit of this and saving a little bit of that, you can combine them later to do some pretty cool shit. And again, I don't know Actress again enough to say like exactly what you could have or couldn't have done back then, although I do know that like the heat and blood heat were a thing. But in this game, it feels like I'm in the lab messing around, and I've found quite a few ways to like do some long, cool shit. But the damage is not like out of this world in the way that it is with Strive and all these other games that we've gotten used to. So you do big, crazy shit, and the game goes, cool, you took off 33%. I hope you're okay with that. And you're like, yeah, you know what, I am. That's fine. Damage is kind of back to normal in this game after seeing the exploding Strive videos, and you do wild shit that ends in a big old level 3 in this game, and then it's like, cool, you did like 4,000 damage.
So it's not a touch of death game.
There's some really crazy shit, and I don't want to say no because I'm sure someone out there is going to find something, but for now it feels like you're doing big shit into big finish, and you're getting kind of like 40% if you going 50 sometimes if you're like using your level 4. No, level 4 goes past that. Level 4 is huge damage. Level 4 is definitely an insane thing, but the others are kind of back to normal, so that's Melty Blood.
I'm just laughing. I'm just giggling at like you confusedly saying it doesn't use meter, but it uses moon meter. And like, man, fucking fighting games are like so absurd.
The funny thing about the moon meter is that it serves simultaneously as an easy input button, because it's like Smash Brothers style specials on a quick input, but let's say you have a Hadoken, and then you've got a EX Hadoken that spends a bar. You've got like forward plus B and C to do moon meter Hadoken, which is like no quarter circle required, and it has its own properties, but you only have a couple of them. So
you can only use the moon so much
until it goes down or turns red.
What? That
it turns
sense. It's silly.
Yeah, it's fine. Another thing besides that, yeah, finished off Deltarune, the first play through, I guess, the normal pacifist run, and boy, I said it before, but I'm very excited for the continuing adventures of everyone in this town as they go into the Deltarune world and get cool powered up forms. Shout out, yeah, Spamton is super great. That was a really fun.
A+.
That was a fun super boss. I hope that collecting all the super boss pieces will lead to some cool shit.
So they actually, Toby patched Deltarune a few days ago, and one of the changes was if on your save file you have beaten Jevil, it dumps an item into your inventory. So
besides the one he gives you,
yeah,
okay,
that will carry
something. Yeah. I just fucking adore Susie, and
yeah, she's great.
I would love to see her. Just yeah, like I
in Smash Brothers tomorrow.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. Not that that's gonna happen, but what if? Could you imagine some real Toby representation? You know, that'd be cool. No, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I think something's gonna happen with that. I think we're gonna get not just a final character, but some kind of twist, or like 2-in-1 or 3-in-1 or some kind of thing, you know?
Well, there's a new Fire Emblem game that's coming out.
Well, there is. I suppose there is. And there's also a whole lot of Pokemon that haven't been, used. So
it's Blaziken as your final Smash Bros. Character.
I mean, the level of, anyways, the number of delusional hashtags for Smash I've seen flying around Twitter have been hilarious.
Yeah, I fully inverted on it, and now I'm like, I'm like hoping for like mega disappointment, like as cruel as it can get. Like fucking it's gonna be Waddle Dee.
I love Bandana D, and I'm not even gonna be saying fucking
but you like there. It'd be like no, it's gonna be Chris Pratt.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be some sort of like twist announcement in some way, but it'd be cool if Susie got to be like a statue or a fucking assist trophy or something.
I'm gonna guess next time around.
Especially now that or how about this? How about just a slight modification to Falco on his costume to make him look a little more birdly?
Now that you've beaten the Deltarune, I'm sitting here, and do you know that fucking clip that's been dubbed over from Batman Beyond, where I think it's Golem says, with the glass ceiling shattered, all the oppressed groups will rise up, including the most oppressed group of all, gamers. As he like floats out of the like that clip's been going around for like 5-10 years. It feels like Birdly is designed off of that emotion.
It certainly is, but it's also the fact that if Toby is good enough to beat Sakurai at Smash, Toby knows a thing or two about that scene.
Mm-hmm.
So he's close enough to be familiar with the energy, which, dear God, man, when it's like that, when you just get that fucking line about like, sorry, Birdly, I only play mobile games.
Oh, it's good. It's real good.
Whew. Power.
Oh, I love it.
Anyway, so that was fantastic. And one other thing is the Wonder Years. Do you remember the Wonder Years?
Yeah,
I think
you described going back to that.
Yeah. So
Fred Savage.
And did you know the voice of the narrator? You know who that is?
I thought it was Opie.
No, it was remember Home Alone?
Yeah.
Not Joe Pesci.
Oh, the other guy.
Yeah, Marv.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That guy is the voice of the narrator.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Remember when he got electrocuted so hard he turned into a skeleton for like 15 frames?
In real life, yes.
Yeah, I remember that. That happened.
So we so we got that there's a new Wonder Years 2 I mentioned, which is it just launched. In this case, it's Don Cheadle narrating over a black family around the same time period in the 60s in Alabama, I believe. Although they never quite tell you where the original takes place. So it, at first I heard it was the other side of town, and then I heard like, oh no, it's specifically here. And I'm like, I don't know. They may or may not play it in, but it's definitely around the same or similar time period. And it was interesting because I watched that, and then I just started watching the old show. And I mentioned before that the Wonder Years, the old show, used to be my favorite thing on television. Like as a kid, it was my favorite thing. It was my favorite show. I was obsessed. I loved it so much. Yeah. It's like the feeling of like, oh yay, that I get hearing the intro, of it, and then the clip, like everything about that, I would just fucking always tune in. It was really just, struggles of a fucking dumb kid in the suburbs, and Winnie Cooper, so I wanted to.
I think I saw 2 episodes of Wonder Years and was like, this shit is fucking lame, and then never watched it again.
I just, as a kid, I fucking loved it, man, and eventually, I don't know, reboot came along and it was what it was, life. but yeah, that shit dropped, and as it came out in 1988. I'm born in 85, and it just, dumb kid trying to figure it out, and older brother that beats on his ass, and like, I don't know, do we like each other with this girl? Do we not? What do we? I don't know. We're kids. All of that stuff. It was something I was entertained by and resonated with. So, I always wanted to go back to it, but I never knew on like, would this hold up or would it just be corny as shit? And the answer is absolutely both, right? It is corny as shit, but I still feel great watching it. And not just for nostalgia purposes, because there's a bunch of episodes I don't remember. There's a bunch of stuff that happens, especially later on, that I don't remember. Like the later seasons are a blur in my head. But I'm going back to it and enjoying it like thoroughly and like for what it is, So
well, I mean, the 60s in general were cringe, so there's no way around it.
Sure.
Like, it's gonna be cringe.
And for anyone who's unfamiliar, I guess the comparison is kind of like, Malcolm in the Middle, which is also super dated as a reference right now. Like,
boy,
this
is it. Oh.
So Malcolm in the Middle is parodying like the Wonder Years, except it's being like punk rock and alternative about it, But the idea was kind of the same, with Wonder Years being the more sincere version of that kind of story from the 80s, right? Watching the new one and then going back to the old one was a really interesting whiplash, because I could directly compare the two. And I can say that the story of the original has always been like the smallest scale dumb hijinks ever for kids at an age where nothing you do matters. And there's always going to be a point in the episode where the narrator goes, and that's the day that I learned that some things never go back to the way they were. Oh. And whether it's about like the brother or the best friend who is not Marilyn Manson, despite that weird rumor, and all that other stuff, and or Winnie Cooper, it is it's one of those shows where it's like you learned for the first time that da 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 da, and so you have small scale shit, and then while that's happening for the most part, the show also has like, and the era of the times, the 60s, is happening, and civil rights things happen, and there's things relating to like, you know, like Red Scare and all kinds of, and the hippie movements, and you know,
all that shit,
all the shit that was going down in America in the 60s and into the 70s. So you have all of that as the backdrop, but it kind of peeks in and then it gets filtered into the lens of a child who doesn't get it, you know? So that's sort of what the old show has been about. The new show also is doing that, and it's focusing on, mainly, of course, it's a black family at the time, so the civil rights part of it, and, you know, the segregation of it, and, you know, remnants of like Jim Crow things and all that, while the kids are having their basic little going to high school life and trying to get a kiss for the first time and doing all that stuff.
All that stupid hijinks shit.
Yeah, the main thing I'd say though is that like I've only one episode came out so far. Well, I think two as of today, but so at the time only the pilot launched. And I would say that it gets the culture and the times and the events of the era right, and it in the same way that the original show does, because you know, first episode of the original show, kid on the street goes off to Vietnam, never comes back. You know?
Yeah, man.
So
because he's dead.
Yeah, and that's that. So like in the same way, in this case, first episode of the show, like hijinks is going on, stuff's going down, and then none of that matters. It's all interrupted because Dr. King just got shot, right?
Yeah.
So it's doing that kind of thing, and that is present and, you know, executed as fine as you'd imagine. The part though where you're going into the lens and the kids' lives and how shit doesn't matter and the dicking around and whatever, all that stuff, I feel like it's lacking in the new one, you know. And I don't know if it's based on the actors and their delivery or if it's just the shit that's happening to them, but it feels as if they're being strung along by those events, and they're not quite establishing just their own dumb bullshit child world yet. Whereas in the original, you kind of felt like almost there was two worlds, and then the real world would like interrupt the childhood, you know? So we'll see how it shapes up. And I mean, you know, maybe there's a statement to say that like, you know, when you're growing up black in this type of situation, you never really do get to escape it. And, you know, there is that. But I'm hoping that you can like deliver a similar feeling of like, the kids don't know or care that much about what's going on until it crashes into them, you know, and then they're forced to kind of grow up in these moments.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what, like, I mean, I haven't watched Wonder Years for shit, but that, I remember it was like painted almost very idealistically. If you're describing it taking place in an era of like social upheaval and like the MLK assassination, all that, like I can't help but think that you're correct in saying that, like, you can't just have your idealized, stupid, low-stakes kid's life with all this shit going on.
Yeah. And, you know, the original Wonder Years pilot, like, around, like, I think it's, like, the end of the first or the second episode, the narrator is like, you know, there's some people who look down on the suburbs and, you know, think of it as just a series of grids, you know, with like no soul in them or whatever, but there's people who live in those grids and they have stories and lives that matter, and it's kind of like saying like, yeah, we're in this fucking box, but there's people here that matter, and we're gonna like look into those things and talk about them in a way. And I guess like in the new one, we'll have to see where it goes, right? But like I feel like something will be lost if it focuses just on the times and like not as much on that kid's world as I'm describing it, you know. So I'm hoping that we do get a bit more of that, because it's a different style of family, but same style of like dorky kid trying to figure it out, you know. in both cases. But either way, I then went on to watch like a bunch of the original, and man, yeah, I love that show, and the intro and outro of Get By With a Little Help from My Friends is just one of the coziest things ever. And yeah, I don't know. I'm glad to say that it does hold up in my opinion. It does kind of hold up as long as you're aware of that 1988ness of it, and it's still okay. It's still okay.
I don't know, man. I remember being like a 6-year-old and thinking that it didn't hold up then.
Well, you're tuning into some cheese, but that's what you're tuning into, you know? Yeah. I like it. Anyway, that's pretty much me.
Well, if they want to see more of pretty much you, where would they go, Wooly?
Over on Wooly Versus, where we shall be continuing SMT, Devil Summoner, Rido 1. And I'll also be jumping on to take a look at Melty Blood later this week, as well as, I believe, the new iOS version of Footsies just came out, which is the little mini fighting game by Hi Fight, a really cool Twitter account that posts highlights of fighting game stuff. So we're going to take a look at those games a little later on in this week. Over on Wooly Versus, Twitch on Twitter. We just had a new episode of Gone in 60 Seconds drop. And a new episode of Wooly Will Figure It Out. And yeah, I'm going to post a schedule. I still have to figure some stuff out for this week, but post a schedule. I think we're going to get through at least like 2 Rido sessions and then some Melty. For Melty Blood, we're going to be on PS5 if you want to come play with us, by the way, on Saturday. So, yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Hey, Wooly. You didn't catch any Squid Game, did you?
No, but everyone's talking about it.
So, I thought that Squid Game was people talking about Splatoon.
I hoped so. But the first thing I saw was a meme of some people with PlayStation buttons on their helmets. So then it immediately was clear that wasn't the case.
I was really confused when I saw that. So, Squid Game is not the Netflix version of Splatoon. Squid Game is a Korean death game drama. You get a couple hundred people in a room, and we're going to play child games. And if you lose the child game, you get shot.
But you win some money, right?
But yeah, you win some money. And much like many popular Korean dramas that have been exported this way, the underlying thesis statement is, boy, it sucks ass to be poor.
Is it a voluntary game?
I'm not even going to answer that question.
Okay.
Because I know how you is about spoilers.
Is it good?
It's very good. It's excellent. It's like very well paced. It's very well shot. It's very weird. And it's acted and directed and etc. good enough that it elevates itself past what my original thought was like, oh, it's a Danganronpa, isn't it? Oh, fuck.
Well, they imported it and marketed it the way they did for a reason, right? Like, yeah. I'm sure the thought was like, hey, Parasite was amazing.
Yeah.
We can probably do some more of that.
But yeah, as I don't want to talk about too much because I don't want to spoil anything for you, and also I'm not done. So anybody trying to talk to me about Squid Game, shut your fucking mouth. Yeah, it's really good. You should check it out.
How many seasons and where are you at?
It is 1 seasons. It's possibly like 1 total seasons. It's unclear. It does that Netflix thing where it's season 1, but I don't know if that means that it's, one off. And I'm 3 in.
Okay.
enough to get like the like a taste.
Feel.
They're 59.5-minute long episodes,
Okay.
which is a weird watch time. It's not a movie, and it's not a Star Trek or Law and Order episode.
It's
Nice
but it's
and in
clear. It's a
between.
clean hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is. I mean, if there is one season, regardless of how this ends, intentional or not, there will not be one season for long.
Yes.
Because
It
this
has
is the type
blown
of
up.
yeah, this is the kind of success that's like get on that immediately. I don't care how it ended.
The only thing I like dislike about it, and as I'm not somebody who grew up in Korea, and am not Korean, I can't tell if this is like what this is culturally, but like the literal like first scene of the show is the kids describing this shit-headed playground game called the Squid Game, which includes like running around a circle on one leg and stuff like that. And I don't know if that's a real game or not, because the rules as described make no fucking sense, and I don't get it at all. And I was watching it with Paige, and we both like kind of paused after like the first 3 minutes of the show, going, "I don't know what the fuck that is. Is that a real thing? Is that a real game? It is a real game. Okay. Weird. I don't get it."
I feel like yeah. I would imagine that's one of those things that is a name that resonates to people who have played it as a kid, and the twist is that it's the innocent thing mixed with the deadly, conclusion. So
They should play versions of the games that I played as a kid, like Sandman, where you can run around on the playground playing tag, but you're throwing fists, and you got to keep your eyes closed if you're the tagger. So you just have a kid with his eyes closed running around on the playground throwing fists,
yeah,
and you're trying
sure.
to dodge them.
Like
That game ruled.
Well, I mean that horror movie effect is like it's not the first time we've seen it. I'm sure you can make a movie, Ring Around the Rosie, where it's a bunch of people forced to play it in a minefield.
I bet you that game exists.
Ring Around the Rosie.
Ring Around the Rosie, 2006.
There you go. Yeah. So whatever.
They all fall dead is the
Of course they
tagline.
Of course they
Jesus.
do. Of
Well,
course
you
they
just
do.
proved your point pretty exemplarily.
We've been doing this.
I have something else I want to talk about that I can't talk about too much because it's the Outer Wilds DLC came out.
Okay.
Now, Wooly, before I continue, just for the purposes of clarity, you played Outer Wilds to some degree. How much Outer Wilds did you play?
Enough for the game's premise to reveal itself, and enough to start walking around and solving a couple of the first puzzles.
All right. Did you solve the mystery of the moon? No. Okay, you didn't. You didn't. If that Outer Wilds is the kind of it's a mystery game, right? And it's in terms of intuiting and solving and learning information about figuring out how to traverse areas.
I met stuff on the moon, but I guess I didn't solve it.
No, it would be like light bulb above your head.
Unequivocally,
obvious.
yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the whole game is like that. I could ask you, did you solve the mystery of the tornadoes on Giants Deep? And if the answer is I don't know, the answer is no.
Okay.
Right. So Outer Wilds was a really bizarre game to get DLC because it presents you with a clockwork solar system, right? And they're all little mini planets. And by the end of the Outer Wilds, I had explored every single inch of every single one of those planets except for like the little lava moon around Brittle Hollow. And I know other people had explored everything, and there's nothing left to find. I first off, getting the DLC, they did a great job figuring out a new place to put an actual explorable location where the most of the DLC takes place. And the second thing is that it is a sequel.
Oh. Huh. Okay.
It is approximately 75% of the length of the base game. And it has more mechanics in it than the whole rest of the game. And the eureka moment of understanding the mechanics of the new area are about 2 to 3 times more mind-blowing than solving the moon's mystery, which is the biggest like light bulb above your head mystery in the original. It is absolutely A+, super fantastic, incredible, and I cannot highly recommend it enough to anybody. It's the same thing with Outer Wilds in general. Like that game is A++.
Did anyone know what this was going to be up before
No.
it dropped?
They said it was Echoes of the Eye, which if you had beaten the full game, it would have given like a little hint, but like really not all that much. And the DLC starts, it says there is a new museum exhibit in that first museum area that you get to that points you to a radio station that is a new added area on the starting planet. And you go to the radio station, and then there's some photos of the solar system on the wall. And that's what you have to go on.
So it's Silk Song.
No. Silk Song was a DLC they kept talking about, and then they said it was going to be a real game. Like, there was not a single screenshot of any of the new content in any of the lead up to the stuff. The only thing that was known is like the title.
Okay.
That's it.
Surprise sequel.
Yeah, and I get in there, and it does a really fantastic. So it takes primarily in one area.
The idea was that because like Silk Song was like fat piece of DLC that no one thought was gonna be a fucking full on sequel, and then it's like, oh shit, this is a full on sequel.
It's closer to the Frog Faction's Cool Hat DLC.
Okay.
Because it takes place in like one core area, and then you discover that there is more to that core area than you originally thought, which was pretty common in most of the other zones in the game. And then you discovered that there's more to that area than you thought, and then there's even more to that area that you thought. So like the area just keeps growing in size more and more and more and more and more. But traversal time is super, super low. Like getting from your ship at the beginning to the start of the new area in terms of like time is like 30 seconds. Like you can, once you know where to go, and fucking get there in a second. It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing.
Have you gone through
I will not talk about I got through all of it, and it changes the ending too, which was its own problem. Because beating the DLC changes the ending. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just beat it again. Well, I haven't played Outer Wilds' main campaign in 18 months, and figuring out or rediscovering how to correctly navigate the series of steps to get to the credits, which is ostensibly a 12-minute process, took me an hour and 12 minutes. Dozens of failures.
So this is
very
still
frustrating.
This is still the least talk aboutable good game that's come out.
There is one thing that you can talk about, which is they added more explicit horror sections in this DLC. And it's generally spookier.
Okay.
And there's enemies that will, walk around and grab you. And those sections are terrible. And because it's not clear where the enemies are looking, It's not clear how fast they're moving, etc. So there's an option in the menu that says lesser frights, and when you turn it on, the enemies can't run anymore.
Interesting. Okay.
So they go from like genuinely difficult antagonists where you're just trying to read shit on the walls to slow moving mines.
Well, the concept of any opposition beyond like my own ability to pilot is already like surprising to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, but game's great. I cannot highly recommend Outer Wilds and its DLC more to anyone that enjoys learning and mysterying about shit, unless you have a crippling fear of space. So I was talking to Paige about it, and then as I got into my spaceship and then like whipped around the sun and, you know, did a cool orbit to land on a planet, like she was like putting her face in her hands, like fucking freaked out because of space and shit like that. So if you're terrified of space, somewhat like being terrified of the deep ocean, yeah, this game's gonna make you vomit every day. But for everybody else, it's probably one of the best games I've ever played in my life.
okay. What's the DLC campaign called?
Echoes of the Eye. Though now they're selling the game as, I think it's called the Archaeologist Edition.
The whole thing together.
Includes it. Probably the best thing about the DLC is that I can easily imagine if you were a person who... Because most people who are playing it now beat the Outer Wilds and then got to the DLC, so they know what would be new or not, right? Mm-hmm. The DLC is very strongly hidden for players that don't already have a good grasp on the solar system. And I can imagine a situation in which the average player going through various areas and going, oh, this must be the DLC. Oh no, this one must be the DLC.
You have to find it. Yeah, okay.
And it's
okay,
like, no,
okay.
no, it's not. You'll know. You'll know 100%.
Is there a title screen?
Yeah, it's great. Pardon?
Is there a title screen that pops up to let you know you've entered it? You know, like
no.
Yeah.
But it's
okay.
It's overt. It's very overt. If you once you're at the location, you could not possibly intuit anything other than this is the DLC area, because it's just gigantic in scope compared to the average planet. Like in terms of pure landmass, the new area is like the combination of like 4 of the other planets.
Oh shit! Okay.
Like it's enormous.
Yeah, I have other questions, but I clearly it's not right. I can't ask.
I mean, you can ask, but
so.
I'll probably give you some side talky bullshit.
Does it add to the story in an essential way?
100%.
Okay.
It legitimately answers one of the only outstanding like plot questions that the game has in a very direct manner.
And so if someone were to like it's an essential piece of this whole experience now. Like,
100%. Yeah.
Okay. And the time you spend on that compared to the time you spend on the original base game is what?
60-40.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe 70-30. Like I could actually check, because I did Outer Wilds streams and I beat the whole thing, so I was just like, how many streams did I spend on the base game versus how many streams did I spend on the DLC? Okay, so it's about, I spent 4 streams, I think, on Outer Wilds, and I spent 2 streams on the DLC.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Fair enough.
So it's
call it half.
12 to 15 versus 8.
Sick.
And that's pretty much for shit to talk about this week.
Okay.
If you want to check out more, I would like to announce that I've decided that after many tantrums, I will be tackling my brain head on, and I'm doing a new series where I play games that are explicitly intended to trigger OCD tantrums. So I'm going to be playing Dishonored tomorrow. And then Metroid comes out at the end of the week.
What is your... Do you have a plan of attack?
Yeah, clench and muddle through it.
Okay. When that clenching eventually fails, should everyone bring rain jackets like a Gallagher show?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
But so like one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from one of my professors when I was in school was about exposure therapy and dealing with shit like that. And it's like everyone's different, and there's obviously certain things like PTSD that cannot be dealt with in this way.
Yeah, Punch Mom's talked to me about it.
Ritualization and bad habits and shit like that, fucking do it, pussy. Is like the actual end of the road on a lot of that shit.
Okay.
Like, build up to it, but you're just gonna have to fucking do it. But how do I just do it? This was a professor that was not teaching any class about therapeutic. This is a forensic scientist.
Now, admittedly, if you just also said, nah, fuck you, you can't make me, I'm a runaway forever just now, it would have also have been correct.
Yeah,
so
that's also fine.
Either version of whatever you just said would have worked there. So, okay. Well, I gotta say, I was kind of hoping that I was hoping for one more story from you, but
What's that?
I guess not yet. I was hoping for possibly impressions of chaos and the killing of chaos. And
I mean the new demo is the same as the old demo. It just has extra stuff on it.
Is it not like a completely separate new thing?
No, it's the same demo but with more stuff. It's just like the Neo ones, and it runs like shit. It runs worse than the last demo.
Because all I'm catching are memes here, and it's just like,
yeah, highly memed.
Is it Garland? Is that it? Is it just Garland and he's an asshole?
See the trailer?
I mean, the original one?
No, the new trailer.
No.
At the end of the new trailer, he says, "My name is Jack Garland."
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, okay. No, I didn't know. I didn't know that. But I was like, is the reason why he's such an asshole that he's just a bad guy? And it's like, yeah, okay, he's the bad guy. All right.
No, that's not it. He's not a bad guy. He hates chaos.
Okay, rather. Well, he's
some jackass who has an iPhone and AirPods and shit.
This is bullshit.
There was an interview with Nomura. I want to say it was Nomura, but it doesn't really matter who it was, where they described that initially the marketing was going to be like, what's the deal with the character? Who could it be? What's happening? And then after the very first, demo and trailer and all that, specifically Western fans figured it out like immediately, like, oh, that's Garland. That's going to be Garland, and it's going to be the time loop from FF1. It's going to be the events that cause the time loop in FF1. So they straight up changed all the marketing from what's going on to how does this guy become Garland? Why would he do that? And stuff like that, which is a great way of dealing with it compared to what if we just rewrote the ending to the game so it was worse.
So then you just start with some asshole that's just,
man,
that appears to just be an asshole and there's nothing else going on.
He's from the real world and he hates chaos.
Right. Well, Stranger of Paradise.
I forget who it was. I want to say it was Jay. I'm not super sure. described it as like he's a 36-year-old gas station owner who listens to music that was popular when he was a teenager exclusively, that happens to be transported to isekai style to the Final Fantasy universe, and that's it.
Okay. He's the bad guy.
I mean, if Samus talked more, she would probably sound like this guy.
No.
I say that with Dread coming out.
No. We're gonna
to kill the Metroid.
Nuh-uh. We're gonna hear more of her logs, and this is post-fusion, so she's gonna have to figure out how to deal with this organic suit.
Hey, I gotta say, there was one thing, because I'm not a long-standing 2D Metroid fan. I'm not up to date, but there was something in a recent trailer for Metroid Dread that had me burst out laughing because it was so stupid. Which was Samus travels to this new planet to find out if the X parasite in fact survived. Yeah. Yeah, it did. It's gonna survive. You can see it in the footage they're using to talk about it right now in the game's engine.
Well,
it's
I was actually warned to dodge the new trailer. I did. Yeah. Because I hear that they're getting really aggressive with stuff, so I'm just gonna wait.
So that new suit's like organic, right?
Yeah. So Fusion has the new thing. I didn't see the full breakdown, but I think it's like a synthesized version of like they fused the state she was in at the end of Fusion with like her original Various suit to create a hybrid that's partly, yeah, something like that. She found a way to make it work because Fusion, she had the new thing and it was all organic, and now it's like semi because it's half and half because she got to get the cool shoulder pads back.
Oh, did the Fusion suit not have the big Orby shoulder pads?
They were much smaller. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah. No. Nah. But there you go.
No, I don't care for that.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it for me. So if you want to check out more of my crap, you go to twitch.tv/PatStaresat. I'm gonna do let's see. I'm gonna do Dishonored. Probably throw a little baby tantrum. I'm gonna do Devotion, the Taiwanese horror game that got fucking super canceled by China.
Oh, that thing. Yeah.
I'm gonna do Metroid, and I'm gonna try and finish off Mass Effect this week. I had a moment that was just like so frustrating where I put up the schedule and it says Mass Effect finale and it's got a big fat question mark on it. Only to get like 5 people that are like, you'll never beat it on Wednesday. It's much too much. It's impossible. It's like, that's why there's a question mark on it. Because it's not certain. Because it's possible that it's not the finale.
You'll never ever do it.
I'll never finish it on Wednesday. It's impossible. It's impossible.
Okay, quick bathroom break, and then we will be right back.
See you in a bit.
What?
What?
What is...
So Woolie's a little bit out of the loop. Facebook is gone.
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean, it's gone. Go to Facebook
Whoa!
now.
Whoa! Wait! Wait, what is going on? Huh? When did this happen?
This happened over the past, like, 90 minutes. Facebook is down, and it's so down that nothing connected to Facebook works. So WhatsApp is dead. Instagram is dead. Facebook is dead. The internal email servers are dead. Oculus, if restarted, none of your games can be authenticated, so your Oculus Rift is dead.
Oh.
Anything that would use Facebook for any reason is dead.
So,
including all the way down to the locks in the Facebook offices use ID cards that tag the server, so they're all locked outside of the building or within corridors.
employees.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh my god. Well, that would explain, because, yeah.
Well,
this morning I was trying...
is, well, we're experiencing technical difficulties. Just wait a little bit. And people are digging around in the internet guts, and I have someone at Benjamin Enfield, the Academy, who is going through the routing data, and apparently there's like a massive DNS failure, so nothing's pointing to the right spots. But the routing isn't just failing, it appears to have been deleted. So it means that Facebook might be like gone.
I mean, are there helicopters and feds storming the building? Like, the fact that the doors are locked is a whole other level.
Fun fact that you mentioned that. So, on the geopolitical news scale, last night was the release of the Pandora Papers.
Yes.
Which was 12 million documents that exposes where all sorts of rich people's money is secretly hidden.
Correct.
I don't know if those two things are related.
Okay. Huh. Because, yeah, this morning, I was trying to message my family, and, like, I saw it was just like, it instantly it was connecting, and then I just checked and I saw that it's like, oh, yeah, the, WhatsApp is down. So, whoa. Okay. And that means, wouldn't that mean also, like you said Instagram and all their partner
Instagram,
things.
WhatsApp, Oculus.
And no word about what the fuck it actually is.
Technical difficulties.
Like, if it was hackers or some kind of attack, it wouldn't affect the physical location. You know? Damn.
I don't know about it. I don't personally know enough about the guts of the internet to be able to tell you with certainty. What I do know is that people who do know more about the guts of the internet are saying that this isn't just disastrous, it's potentially calamitous for the site's infrastructure.
Could it be papers have bad things, kill it, clear out traces of the bad things before we go back on?
It's funny because, like, Facebook is like a net evil in our society. So, like, if it just died and didn't come back up, that'd be good.
Some people would be free. Mentally, there'd be some peace to be found.
Yeah, no, that would be good.
But I'm definitely like, what the shit causes the employees to be locked out? You know?
We got people that longtime fan in the chat saying it's a BGP config error. It's also an IP wipe as well. I mean, that might be the case, but I don't know what those words mean. at all. I've never heard of them in my life.
Hmm.
Oh, we have people who work for Oculus in our chat. It's been going on since early this morning. We're all dead in the water. No internal tools are working at all.
Okay, so they're at the office. The tools are just not working. People are not locked out of the building.
No, some people at the Facebook offices in general are in fact completely locked out of the building because the ID cards are server red.
Okay.
And the server's dead, so the ID card doesn't open.
Oh.
It's this wonderful idea of like maybe you shouldn't tie every single part of everything to a unified central technical device. Maybe something like a key, like an old-fashioned key.
Well, I mean, the timing couldn't be more impeccable, considering the nature of that article that popped up yesterday that was called "Give Amazon and Facebook a Seat at the United Nations." Have you seen this? Given the scope of their ambitions and our dependence on them, behemoth brands should be treated and held to account for what they really are: commercial superpowers. And it's like internet? What? Like
we've got
what are you doing? Fucking stop.
Network technician in the chat. If the BGP is dead and the routing table is gone, you've basically got brand new equipment. They'll have to rebuild the entirety of the Facebook backend. Now, I'm not an expert, but that sounds hard.
And deliberate.
Time-consuming.
And deliberate. It could be accidental, but that sounds extraordinarily deliberate for the site to not lead to a thing saying, sorry, we're down, but to lead to a no one owns this website domain style nothing. Fucking some dumb kid from your school could, like, feels like he could go buy the URL, the domain name, you know? Wow. Okay. Well, that is some wild fucking unexpected news. But give him a seat at the United Nations.
It'd be nice if the Zuck just had a heart attack and died from the stress, because they're doing that thing that corporations do, where the money in their stock machine, the magic stock machine that gives them the money, it's go down now.
It's go down?
It's go very down.
Very
right
down.
Now.
Very down. Okay.
Well, I mean, this is actually the kind of situation that it would be completely appropriate for the stock price of something to go down. If the fucking thing that has to work 100% of the time every day doesn't,
and you didn't tell anybody what happened.
That's not good to do.
Including the people who put the money for go up. Then yeah, money go down. That tracks.
Oh. So yeah, Facebook go down.
Now, if this ends up being called the Big Down, that'd be really cool. That would make me happy.
The big down will be in about 8 or 9 years when the entire internet goes down.
No, I want the big down now. No.
That'll be the big down.
No, that could just be the bigger down.
No.
Yes.
You know, I work on the internet literally every single day, and I don't know how this shit works. I hit this button, and I go, "Hey, everybody, do ooh, hee, ha, ooh," and then money happens sometimes.
Would you like me to explain how it works? Because I have
no.
I have a really...
Is it tubes? Is it information tubes?
I have a really clear explanation.
Let's hear it.
This week, the podcast is brought to you by DoorDash. And DoorDash are the people you want to talk to if you need to get your food delivered straight to your door safely and from a variety of places that you enjoy. Local go-tos, all your favorite chains and flavors. DoorDash can get you covered.
Listen, are you scared because Facebook is down and you can't ask your mom for her old-fashioned soup recipe? Well, put that off and order some chicken or something.
You can get it straight to you. You don't have to worry about your mom's recipe. You know? You don't have to worry about whether you're preparing for your own meal or you want to, spice it up, get some fancy dinner. Whatever cravings you've got. Yeah, you want to do it with DoorDash. And, of course, you can use one of their over 300,000 partners supporting whatever you like in your neighborhood or going to the favorites. You've got the late night options as well. They're open later than you'd think. You'd be surprised what's around in your area that can get dashed off to you. And contactless delivery drop-off. You get a ring on the doorbell, and before you know it, there it is, your meal right there for you to pick up.
Sometimes you just need shitty hot dogs at 3 in the morning. And you'd be surprised at how often I've been able to get shitty hot dogs at 3 in the morning.
Oh, yeah. No. I'd say...
The answer is more than 0.
I would be willing to argue that LaFleur probably offers more shitty night hot dogs than daytime steamies at this point.
Yeah, maybe.
Shitty LaFleur's night dogs. Absolutely.
Oh, man. You ever been to that LaFleur's out in...
Yes, all of them. Including that one. Next to the bridge.
One that's like... yeah, that's the one.
Of course, that's the one. Of course, you're. You ever been to the LaFleur? Of course, you're talking about the one by the bridge. Yes.
Standing room only steamed hot dogs, and those can be shipped to your door using DoorDash.
So listen, folks. Limited time, you can get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on your first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code CASTLE2021. That's 25% off and up to a $10 value and 0 delivery fees off your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter CASTLE2021 as the promo code. Don't forget, CASTLE 2021 for 25% off your initial order with DoorDash. Subject to change. Terms apply. Thanks, DoorDash.
Thanks, DoorDash.
And by shitty hot dogs, we mean like shitty good. Right?
Yeah. I mean they taste good.
Yeah.
But they probably have like syringes in them. I don't care.
Kind of, yeah, just there you go. Just, yeah.
Like, cause I remember there was an old Giant Bombcast thing where Jeff talked about how much he didn't like a certain area of town because they had good pizza, but they didn't have shitty pizza. And he more often than not wants shitty pizza in that it's poorly made, cheap ingredient, greased fuck pizza. It's like that with LaFleur hot dogs. Like I could get like a nice roasted dog with, kosher toppings and, all that good shit. Or I could get some fucking supermarket fucking piece of shit that was steamed for 40 seconds and then the fucking ghee fucking spit on them.
Call it a steamy.
Yeah.
This week,
the one I want.
This week, the podcast is also sponsored by, sometimes there's products that are handy now in today, but they would have been incredible the further back in time you go. So let's say you're in your room, you got your door closed, and you're at your computer doing your thing, trying to live your life, but you know, it's very difficult because the sound of the very loud prayer meeting happening in the basement is very distracting. It's very difficult for you to enjoy your activities on your own because of the big loud prayer meeting that's happening downstairs as people are getting really, really into it, and the hymns get started and the excitement gets going and the loudness starts to pick up. Raycon offers some solutions. In particular, they've got the everyday earbuds look and feel, but they sound better because they're noise isolating. When they fit wirelessly, they cut out all that outside noise. You know? And then just like that...
if there's too much prayer going on, and you're just like, I need to listen to some kind of monster piece of shit music to drown that out, you can get some sound isolating headphones from sorry, not headphones. Right?
Wireless earbuds.
Earbuds. Better for the isolation.
There you go. You know, whether you need them for isolating the world outside or to work out or just wind down after a long day in transit, wherever you may be, they can hook you up. They've got sound profiles, so you can set it to pure mode for podcast listening or instrumentals. You got balanced mode for rock and metal, things like that, or bass mode if you want to bump some EDM or some hip-hop, you know, whatever your profile feeling. Awareness mode as well, in case you do need to listen to your surroundings up ahead. And they've got 8 hours of playtime and 32 hours of battery life. Built-in mic so you can take care of calls as well. So, you know, I kind of look back and I go, man, that would have been awesome to have years ago. Best part of all, starts at half the price of other premium audio brands, but sound just as good with a 45-day happiness guarantee. So right now, our listeners can get 15% off their Raycon order at buyraycon.com/superbeast. That's buyraycon.com/superbeast to save 15% on Raycons. buyraycon.com/superbeast. Thanks, Raycon.
Thanks, Raycon.
I hope that explanation made sense. Of
how the internet works?
Yeah. Good.
I thought you were gearing up for a vibrator ad. Like, I genuinely thought that last one was going to be a vibrator ad.
Not yet. We haven't been so lucky, but I promise you that if the door opens in that direction, we're going full steam ahead.
I'll do sex freak product ads in a second.
Hell yeah. See? I've been asked about and very much not down for a couple of flavors of things. You know, I'm like, look, let's be real here. How many of you guys out there listening to this wanna hear about
Have feet?
How many of you guys out there are interested in brands of chewing tobacco dip? What kind of dip do you spit?
Oh, they keep asking us about that.
You know, are we gonna reach out to the gamer crowd and see if you guys are interested in tobacco dip? No? Okay. Well, you know, I didn't think so. So perhaps that's not the best fit, you know? How about some throw your fucking life away gambling? Would you be down? Would you be down for some ridiculous horseshit gambling?
I think what's fascinating to me is that one of the only times I ever had like a pushy marketer in my business email stop contacting me was one of the casino people and I was like, I'm in Canada. I'm pretty sure I can get arrested for advertising your product. And then they never wrote me back.
I see. Okay, so the feeling I'm getting here is sports gambling, no, but waifu gambling, yes.
I mean, yeah, I got a fucking. Oh, let me check my goddamn message request. I got a fucking banger in here. Do you want to? Oh god, what is this? Inquiring about promotions and rates. We love to give a fresh and trustworthy perspective on new age pharmaceuticals, specializing in mental health and sexual wellness by selling many psychedelic and hemp infused products.
That went like 4 different directions I from the start of the sentence.
Yeah, and I'm like, what's the rates for advertising on your page? I'm like, should I even write back to this? Because I should just write back like $10,000 a day.
Just keep in mind, okay, that it's like every time you hear a little spot to go check out Titans on the fucking CW, what you're not hearing is tobacco dip and big old gamble debt sports gamble. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Let's get one thing straight. I will gladly threaten to shave your balls any day of the week.
They sent me this big PDF
instead of going that other route.
Oh, dude.
Watch the dumb show. I'll shave your balls.
Wooly, check this chart out they sent me. I'm gonna send it to you in Discord. Check this chart.
Wow. That's growth.
Wait, that chart goes to 2028. That fucking chart is like a fucking curve up to the top, and like the end date on it is projected growth for 2028.
Future. Doesn't say projected, but it is in fact going into the future. Natural supplement growth. It's good. It's good, folks. All right?
Oh.
You understand what I'm saying? So just order the fucking food and get the goddamn headphones.
Come on.
It's real simple, folks.
You can do both.
Eat the food and listen to the headphones. This can go a lot of different ways. What's going on this week?
Okay, yeah. There's gonna be a new Smash character announced tomorrow.
Yeah. You know, say what you will, right? The last big hurrah. Sakurai even tweeted out in English to tell you to tune in. And I think it's because he knows that it's like, there's no way to meet expectations on this. So you're probably going to have to subvert them somehow.
It's the final Smash DLC character, so obviously it's going to be the coolest and most important one.
Or
anything less would be a huge disappointment.
But here's the method to my madness, right? What if it's 3 disappointments?
Oh, man.
Right?
Oh.
Like,
oh, man.
Come on.
So good. Oh.
That's fucking solid. I think that's pretty solid.
Oh.
But wait, there's more. Another disappointment, and then another one because we came at it hard. You know? Yeah.
The absolute ultimate would be like, it's Gino, Waluigi, and Dr. Luigi.
Voiced by Charlie Day.
Yeah.
So I mean that's
it's gonna be Fortnite, man. It's gonna be Jonesy. from Fortnite.
Or maybe even a feature that, like, a consolation prize, which is like more aggressive reskins of existing characters to get a bunch of like clone costumes in there.
It's Silver.
Yeah,
the hedgehog.
Yeah, you know, a lot more just to get more of those in. Right in, even though he's doing all of Snake's moves. Whatever, you get it.
All right, what else? What else we got?
So there's the first story that I saw was twofold because there was an initial report that a number of developers, according to a rumor, at least 11 companies had dev tools from Nintendo for making Switch games run at 4K.
Yeah.
And apparently this was just a dev kit thing. And I that's something I can believe. There's shit like that exists that you know, it's like this is here, but that doesn't mean you can actually use it on a retail build of anything. But the idea is that it exists and possibly then it'll be future-proof for if that becomes a possibility. However, it clearly isn't. But the second news story alongside this is that a newly published patent shows that Nintendo has plans for DLSS-style AI upscaling, and it mentions upscaling to 4K.
Wow.
So it's not exactly outputting clean 4K, but they're looking into something that can use a neural network to convert the images to a higher resolution. So I assume the shit we've been seeing on YouTube with like some of those AMVs and some of the other AI learning, machine learning based upscale videos. Now, I don't assume that any of this will have any actual ramifications with what they put out until it's another piece of hardware. But I kind of feel like it's another example of Nintendo has the ability to do these things, but either A, they just said, fuck it, we're not spending the money on that, but we put the possibility in there, you know, kind of like we just got Bluetooth. Or they want to posture as if they can keep up with this generation when it's been clear from like 5 or 6 of them ago that Nintendo has said, look, we give up on tech. We're just going to offer games.
Here's what I think. That no one will get what they want out of this situation. Like, all I want is a version of a Hyrule Warriors or whatever the new one is that runs with 5 extra frames a second. That's all. I literally just want that. And then they will look at me and they will take their plans for the new Nintendo Switch and they will throw it in the garbage.
Okay, Nintendo denies reports of 4K Switch dev kits being sent to developers. Nintendo has officially denied reports that 4K Switch dev kits have been sent out. They were false, and they do not have plans to release any model other than the OLED.
Well,
so,
I mean, even if there was like a for real new Switch, I mean, they do got the OLED coming out. Like, they don't want anybody to know about whatever. But I endured like what I wanted to say like was 6 years of the Wii HD is totally coming out, dude. And then many years of dude, the Wii U without the gamepad is totally going to come out, dude. And now we're at the Switch that doesn't run like shit is totally going to come out, dude.
You know what would have helped me a long time ago? If back during the Nintendo 64 era, I would say, right then, if Nintendo basically came out and said, look guys, from here on out, we are not gonna be doing anything impressive in terms of hardware. But
Oh, the GameCube was.
but wasn't it still like under cutting edge compared to PS2 at the time?
No.
Or am I
GameCube's much stronger than the PS2.
okay? Where was the exact drop off that I'm thinking of?
It was
then?
the Wii.
Was it specifically the Wii?
Yeah, I feel they said that. They did literally say that. They said we're never gonna chase the bleeding edge of technology ever again.
Did they say? Did they actually say that?
Yes, they literally said that. They've been saying that for like 10 years.
Okay, because I know that they've always said like we're gonna focus on innovation, but I feel as if there was a feeling of like, but will it at least do this? But will it at least support that? And each time it's just been like, nope, but here's the new thing. And in many cases, it was a cool new thing to control or try out. But you always kind of were like, man, this PSP screen is so big and shiny. Damn. You know? Why can't this be the way it goes from now on? And it's like, well, because like that's how they're gonna save money on everything they're putting out from here on out. Because I had a long period of time.
They even said shit like that with the fucking 3DS. We're like, we're not too worried about, you know, big graphics. We think the innovation that the 3D provides will be more important for the blah, 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 blah.
Now, I mean, it's entirely possible that around the time that these console wars started heating the fuck up, that like if Nintendo went and tried to stay cutting edge with everything, that like they could have crashed and fucking burned super hard.
Oh yeah, and instead they made shitzillions of dollars. It was a smart move.
But you know, but
excuse me.
But I would like the ability to peek into a world where like the Nintendo console was still like one of the main choices for most of the shit coming out, and not just the like I'm grabbing it for the first party stuff and serving a separate function.
I mean that literally hasn't been true since the Super Nintendo.
But that's what I mean. I'd be curious to see a reality where that did continue, you know, and where they made a shit ton of money off of
shit would suck ass.
Off of what I suppose would have been the disc. It would have been a disc version of FF7, you know.
No, that universe fucking sucks, because then the Nintendo console that has the first party stuff and all the third party stuff is also saddled with the absolute worst online and feature set of any console to ever release ever. And so you're like, well, I have it because I bought Mario on it, but now there's no fucking voice chat in Call of Duty because fucking Nintendo. So I'll just say, like...
See, and the online problem isn't a money and expense issue as much as it is a philosophy issue. So they would likely still be saddled with that. That's a good point. That's fair. If it was cash that could solve all the other issues of like, you know, making your hardware the one that most people want to put their shit out on, still were just...
Even if the hardware was the same, dealing with Nintendo sucks compared to dealing with the other console manufacturers. Like...
Well, so here you are, you know?
You remember listening to indies talk about, like, can we fucking please get, like, a mention in, like, your fucking direct thing? And Nintendo would come back and go, no, LOL. No. We won't even have a splash page for you in the store.
eShop goes down, so does everything on it forever. And all that delicious, important Kirby lore lost because the bulletin boards were never backed up or archived.
Like, you're describing a situation, and unironically, most games would have had cut down or toned down content-wise versions, because Nintendo
Would step in.
tends to push for lower violence and
Yep,
lower sex and all that
on the creative
in
angle. Yep.
general. And you would have like the Call of Duty that like had no blood or whatever. And I know that hasn't been the case for a while, but that's because Nintendo hasn't had the ability to push that for a while. Back in the day when they were top of the fucking roost, they'd censor shit all over the fucking place. Take that cross out of Castlevania.
Bayo 2 did come out, but that was well after they no longer had that lead.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so bunch of weird Nintendo 4K things, but it turns out it's not true, and something about upscaling, but don't
believe it till I see it.
Don't bet on it.
Also, think about how awful, like double awful, streaming and recording video games would be if Nintendo was the dominant console manufacturer
with their policies.
Yeah. Like, transplant current day policies over, it sucks, but transplant the policies of top of the industry Nintendo over. Like, it'd be fucking... Because then you'd have, like, oh, cool, Nintendo ported everything, you know, has a port of everything on it. Cool. That means Nintendo's going to claim every single game, regardless of what platform I play it on. And say, well, that's a Nintendo game. You can't play that on, but you pay us.
It has the anti-share button. Press it to report that you have a video that we should monetize for ourselves as soon as you finish making the clip.
Like, Nintendo makes great games, but their company is fucking dumb about video games a lot.
Yeah, it is true that the dinosaur power was only weakened by the competition stepping in and running the show after the 4th generation. But I can't. It's just every time I look at one of these stories about like some piece of hardware that other people have figured out, that Sony and Microsoft figured out, that Nintendo's just getting around to, it just feels like, you know, it's not. There was a point at which they were like, look, we're not going to be bleeding edge, but then that kind of feels like it fell back towards bare minimum as time went on.
I mean, to be blunt,
especially with the online shit.
The infrastructure over at Nintendo has been more or less the same for like 40 years. Like, it's actually the same dinosaurs there all along.
Okay. Now you've convinced me. That reality would suck. That's fine.
Like, I suspect, and I hope it's not in the near future, because Miyamoto seems like a nice enough guy, but when Miyamoto eventually passes away, I imagine there will be a significant shift inside that company. In whatever direction. Like, I don't know how, but like, that dude has his ideas of how games can and should be made, and they have been definitive.
I wonder
for a long time.
I wonder if it comes with a shift, or if it comes with, you know, people are currently in positions that also buy into and agree with these philosophies. You know, like
there could be
an encircling of like lots of people currently who are, you know, on the board of directors that are also majorly fans of this type of philosophy. So
I mean, it's interesting because you got some companies in the game business that are staffed and run by primarily dinosaur human hybrids. They might be too young to be pure dinosaurs, but they have the dinosaur DNA within them, and that's just the way things are done, right?
Okay.
It's built into it. Now you have other companies that are run by mostly humans, and they have the occasional vicious self-serving dinosaur that causes shit tons of problems for them that they can eventually eject and free themselves of the dinosaur energy. And that dinosaur will be leaving, falling into a pit, yelling, "Oh no!" But they will finally be ejected so that the humans can continue to evolve.
But first we have to go through the Bloody Roar Beasterizer era, where the half types, right? Those who turn into a dinosaur and then back into a human must rule first. The Animorphs age must be a part of Nintendo before we get the humans in control again.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you have other places in which you have mostly normal humans at the lower ends of the company, but they are ruled by dinosaurs at the top who happen to hang out together like a bunch of sex perverts and worship the grand dinosaur Cosmo.
Violence for violence is the rule of beasts.
Yeah. I feel like we've completely lost the metaphor here, but it was fun to do.
No, I'm following along. In fact, I would describe the situation you're describing with the lead turbo dinosaur at the top as some kind of crisis.
Yeah.
It's a crisis of sorts. Some kind of Cosmo crisis.
And then you go, you ask the biggest, oldest dinosaur what he was doing on the most evil dinosaur's plane of all. Why was your name on there? Codosaur?
The plane going to Dinosaur Island?
I'm out. Okay. All right. We pushed this too far. I'm getting a glass of water.
Dinosaur Island is...
Island safe from the meteors!
We're not the first people to come up with Dinosaur Island. Maybe that's the true Dinotopia.
All right. That's enough.
You get on the plane so that it lands in Dinotopia, and now you're in a perfect world of happiness, and you can fly on your skybacks.
Where there's no meteors to threaten you.
Nothing to threaten you. Just a weird old church. Don't think too hard about it. Fun dinosaurs.
And there's President Dinosaur.
Hollywood Dinosaur.
Hollywood Dinosaur. Hollywood Dinosaur.
Prince Dinosaur. Damn.
Wow. The Kevin Hartosaur is there. That's crazy. Didn't even think he was a dinosaur. I think we've kind of mixed the messaging on this. I'm not saying anything this horrible about Miyamoto.
We're losing it, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what'll bring it back? Shakira.
All right.
Shakira was in the news this week because she was attacked by a pair of wild boars.
Oh, yeah, that happens.
And you gotta understand that, listen, from time to time, your favorite celebrities might be attacked by feral hogs. In this case, they stole her bag and retreated into the woods.
Apparently, Australia's got a hog problem as of right now.
Australia, in this case, it seems like she was in Colombia, in Barcelona, rather. And, yeah.
Hogs are around.
You gotta. Is that why you need your big guns?
To protect your children from the 30 to 50 wild boars that rush into your yard when you're not looking?
Feral hogs almost took Shakira.
Yeah, that guy got, like...
She needed to be strapped.
A lot less silly once simultaneous news of many worldwide boar attacks occurred.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, if you live in an area in which you may encounter feral hogs, don't fuck with them.
No.
They will kill you.
It turns out that, like, pigs and, like, boars and hogs and all that shit are just the same animal adapted to different environments.
Yeah, that's probably the wildest thing. If you take a pig and let the gate open and let the pig just run into the wilderness... it will turn into a boar.
That's amazing. That's crazy. That's the most Pokemon shit of the entire in the world.
It's the like. It's not like, oh, its kids will become feral and they'll adapt quickly. Like, no, the pig will transform into a boar.
The horns will grow. The fur
its
will
color
grow.
will change.
The darkening, and it's like I remember it started with the idea of like. Warning to all, pet owners, like, the mini pigs are a scam. There is no such thing as a mini pig. It is just a pig, but it is small. And when it eats enough, it will become a real pig. Like, the whole thing is just like, oh, that's such a cute little thing. And you're holding a baby Charmander, you know?
It reminds me of, I don't know if you ever heard of this. There's a channel. You know what? I'm gonna bet, Wooly, that you have not heard about this. There's a channel called Esther the Wonder Pig.
No, I have not.
It was these two guys? They got a baby pig, and they're like, oh, cool, we'll raise a little baby pig as a pet. And then Esther was not a mini pig.
No, nope.
Esther is a fucking hoss. And so they said, oh well, and they moved out into the fucking country. With Esther, and then they got some turkeys and shit, and they're living that farm life now. And they got a YouTube channel where they just hang out with Cornelius the turkey and Esther the Wonder Pig, read stories and shit.
So they figured it out. That's cool. Okay, because I think Ariana Grande and Pete Davidson, where they had to figure it out because they had a quote unquote mini pig. It's Piggy Smalls, and it was cute, it was a fun little idea, but then you learn that with enough time and food, this will just be a hog.
Yeah, that's
so.
The name Piggy Smalls is unironically completely perfect for this situation.
Yeah.
As you thought it was Piggy, but no, it was Biggie.
And then it eventually became Notorious P.I.G., It just it happened. Yeah, that's the most Pokemon shit nature has ever had to offer, in my opinion, is the adaptability. I have.
They're nice.
Yeah. But you also have to remember while you're petting it that these things will eat human remains till there's nothing left.
Yeah, so the cool thing about pigs is that they're sweet and they're very smart and you want to hug them. But they will eat you if they have the chance. Like, that joke of like a cow would eat you and your whole family? No, a pig will eat you. It'll kill you and eat you. So you get to not feel that bad.
And if there's a bunch of a bunch of them, and they're particularly hungry, like, they might try to knock you down, So, anyway. Good luck to Shakira.
I have a fake pig in my house. Oh, yes. Good luck to Shakira, yes.
Do you?
Yeah, I got a fake pig. It's my pig dog.
Well, it's nice. We made it through a conversation about pigs and we didn't mention their half-hour orgasms. Learned about that one.
In the course of the story?
No, actually,
Is that because of Shakira?
No. Learned about that one in the World Phallus Museum of Iceland.
Wait, you didn't know that?
I heard it before. That was a plague fact, but then I relearned it. It was originally a plague fact, but then I relearned it upon visiting the Phallus Museum in Iceland.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where, like, you hear it and you're like, yeah, and then you like halfway between the A and the H of your yeah, you're like, no, wait, no. Yeah.
Well, we got another hot rumor, because that's what we're becoming. We're becoming rumor mongers.
Yeah, hot rumor show.
Konami is set to revive Metal Gear, Castlevania, and Silent Hill, speaking specifically about a remake of Snake Eater. And apparently these projects, since Konami hasn't put out anything, I think it was, the last Castlevania game was Lords of Shadow 2, the portable one there. And apparently a lot of the rumors are specifying that this game, these projects are going to be headed up by, what was the studio called? Shit, excuse me, I just lost it. The guys that worked on Dark Souls Remastered.
Mm-hmm.
Virtuos.
Yeah.
Dark Souls Remastered, Outer Worlds, BioShock Collection, and some content, some side development for Battlefield 1, Uncharted 4, and Horizon Zero Dawn.
You're right, Wooly. The Konami, the company that was, prior to a few years ago, releasing the critically acclaimed PES Soccer series as one of their only remaining old franchises that they kept going, only to release what may be the shittiest soccer game ever released.
Those screenshots are pretty funny.
eFootball 2022.
Those screenshots are pretty good.
They're gonna gear up after losing the entirety of the Metal Gear staff to everywhere else.
Well,
jump on into a Snake Eater remake.
I'm not right. It's whoever this rumor person is telling these stories. This is, apparently someone who is saying that the restructure from earlier this year is trying to focus on bringing the brands that they have back. And it went on to mention that, what will happen. So working with Virtuos is going to be the way that they're going to bring back Metal Gear, Silent Hill, and Castlevania.
You know, I've been listening to this video game news shit for much of my life, and there's this type of rumor that comes out that I would classify in, man, they should do that. They're doing it. In that it's not real, but it's something that somebody thinks they should do. So people will just believe any fucking rumor about it whatsoever. I remember I was on a podcast that I very much liked called the Kojima Frequency a little while ago. And a significant amount of that was in dealing with Metal Gear Solid 1 remake rumors. And they were going through each of these rumors to come out. And I just kept saying over and over, like, that's not going to happen. There's no reason for real to actually believe that would happen. They just tossed everyone involved with Metal Gear out a window like a year or two ago. Why would any... But there's no... And it always runs back to the genuine underneath thing of like, but I want it, so they should do it though.
But Pat, don't forget that it can always happen incompetently.
That's true. That's very true.
This continues to be a reality where that can occur. So,
new Silent Hill game made by Bloober Team would be about as bad as it could possibly get.
I mean, Metal Gear went out on Survive in 2018, and Castlevania went out on Lords of Shadow 2 in 2014. So,
like
incompetence. Go ahead.
I just literally scrolled past a rumor going around right now, post Blue Point getting eaten up by Sony, which was like, I heard Blue Point's going to Yarnum next. And it's like, did you hear that? Or did you think that was cool if it happened? So you said it out loud.
Yeah, no, that's recess talk. That's recess passing the ball around going, yeah, no, but... Oh... Yeah.
I think it would be cool. They should do it.
Mm-hmm.
The source of most rumors.
Well, so there you go. Then, keeping up that recess talk, here's a little nothing into something. Square Enix trademarks Valkyrie Elysium. Possibly something to do with Valkyrie Profile. However,
it will absolutely be something to do with Valkyrie Profile.
The latest thing they put out was Valkyrie Anatomia, which was an Android iOS mobile game from a couple years ago.
Hey, guess what? Yeah.
Valkyrie
It's gonna
Mobile.
be one of those.
It might be Valkyrie Mobile.
It's the Valkyrie Profile gotcha game. Get ready.
But as of this whatever announcement, it's just the name Valkyrie Elysium. So whatever that means. Have you seen?
I gotta say, out of all the complaints I have against mobile games or whatever and all that crap, the number one problem that I actually have in my day-to-day life is how they've ruined the experience of finding out about new games. Because certain companies and certain things, it's like, oh, what could this be? And like the default background thought of like, it's probably some fucking mobile gambling garbage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Until you're happily pleased to find out that it's not. I wonder if and when you're going to see the trademark, like, patent process as a calculated step in the beginning of a marketing plan.
Patent shit that don't exist.
Exactly. Start fucking with people. See what the response is, and then gauge the temperature from there. Have you seen Lemnis Gate?
Yes, I played it.
Oh, okay. Because, yeah, it's out, and this is something that looks pretty fucking interesting. It's the other loop time FPS thing that's not about death looping, but death looping in the other way. In fact, this sounds like this is the game that should be called Death Loop. But anyway. I feel like... I remember seeing the premise for this, and immediately I was like, that sounds super fucking cool, but also has potential to fall apart completely if it isn't exactly what it promises to be.
Yep.
So, what is it like? Have you if you've touched it?
So imagine you're playing Overwatch. Just mentally put yourself there. You're playing Overwatch. Got it. Okay. It's a first-person shooter. There's 10 characters that got powers and shit, and they got a gun. Okay, cool. There's objectives. It's like capture the flag or like shoot this thing or you know what have you. So what happens is you're gonna load in and the other guy's gonna load in and you're both gonna have 25 seconds to do whatever with your characters. Okay, you did it. Okay, cool. The time is over. Cool. 25 seconds done. Right. Now you're gonna pick the next character, and the events that took place with the last pair of characters will still keep going. And if you want to kill that other guy so that he doesn't kill your second guy, you can, but be careful because he might have shot that guy. And if you get killed during your run, if you kill the guy that killed you on the next one, your ghost actions will persist. And so far and so on. The best explanation that I saw for how it plays was in one of the user reviews, which was it's like playing Overwatch, but you play every single person on the team so you don't have to deal with shitty teammates.
In turns.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
So, and that makes me think of like Gradius 7, or sorry, Gradius 5 rather.
Yeah.
At certain points, but what happens if you get killed on a run, and then the next run over, you stop that person from killing you? What happens to that ghost?
Ghost actions will continue.
So an AI will take over.
So let's say it's turn 1, right? And I am shooting the point to power up the generator or whatever, right? And the other team, his turn, the first thing he does is snipe me in the head and I die. Right? Well, and that happens at 10 seconds in the timeline. Right? When you die, you still maintain control of your character. It just you get an animation that tells you you're dead.
Oh,
so
that I was missing. Okay, that makes
shooting
sense.
The point.
Gotcha,
right?
gotcha.
And then on turn 2, at second 4, I snipe his sniper, which deletes his kill shot from the timeline, which means that my original guy keeps shooting the point.
Okay, the crucial piece of information I was missing is that after you got headshotted, you kept playing.
Yeah, you get to keep playing.
That's what makes it make sense. Got it. Okay. You fill out the timeline no matter what.
I played a little bit of it, and it's really cool, and the fucking mechanic is super solid.
I feel a butt.
It's really great. And then I played a couple matches, and I was like, wow, this game is great. Then I went and took a shower because I was covered in brain sweat. And then I uninstalled it, but did not refund it because they deserve the money. But like, I'm just like sweating.
It was too much.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. No, that's good.
Like, it's very mentally intense.
It's successfully doing what it promised, and that was too much. Okay.
Yeah.
Baba is
It's probably
FPS.
the closest experience to actually playing 5D chess that there currently is.
Well, there's actually a game called 5D Chess you can buy.
Oh, did Serlin make it?
No. It's a game where you play chess across multiple timelines.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty complicated. I bought it. I was very confused.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Lemnis Gate. So that I picked that up, and I was going to take a peep at it and be like, oh, maybe this would be fun to take a quick look at. So, might do that. Because the time fuckery sounds interesting. And, like, I kind of wonder, I'm like, at a certain point, like, is each turn just going to be like, fuck you, I'll kill you first in a like, preemptive kind of Mexican standoff, kind of like, I shot you, so you shot him, so you shot him? Or should you just gun to the goal? You know, like, how do you play the mental game? Or do you run out and snipe in a direction where he potentially might be and then turn around and keep going to the goal, even though he hasn't played that turn yet. You know, that's the stuff that I get excited about. I like the idea of that. Like, you're probably going to go to this sniper's perch, so I'm going to shoot here a couple times at this point to make you think it's dangerous, even though I don't know if you're going to go there yet.
I have a piece of news. Let me just double check it before I say it out loud. Okay, it's breaking news. Dead by Daylight's newest collaboration will be For Honor.
Okay. The Warden is getting out there, making friends.
What?
Sure.
It's not a chapter release. It's some kind of Halloween event.
So who's the monster?
No, it's not chapter release. That means it's not going to be a monster. It could be a costume for an existing monster, or like... I don't know. That's weird.
Doesn't that mean that confirms that Baiken is now in the same universe as Resident Evil?
Yeah.
And thus Guilty Gear.
Yeah. Well, we've long established the Omniverse.
No, I know. I'm just... Okay. For Honor. All right. That to me shows that not like it. Like at first you see Sam's show and you go, "That's a weird, possibly one-off little guesting thing," but here it's like, no. They're trying. UB's trying to push For Honor as a use our guestables in your game kind of thing. Kind of like Shovel Knight gets out there, you know?
Yeah.
Some games push their characters to show up in others, like probably as a regular thing. That feels like you're going to see a lot more of this.
Cool.
Okay, sure. So we had those, and then not much, but just there was the little ArcSys event where
excuse me.
A lot of streamers expected Strive news. Asses got blown out as they only talked about Ancient Kunio and River City Girls 2.
So the weirdest thing about that Resident Evil, River City Girls 2 trailer is that they don't show off the new characters in it at all.
They just show off the new shit that the old characters are doing. No, they show no, they don't show the hoodie girl, but they show what's her name? The other girl, I think, with the ponytail. They show one of them. I forget her name, but anyway, it looks fucking impeccable, and it looks like they've built off of the juggle system to create even more juggle freedom that none of us will know how to do properly.
I won't know how to do it.
But the combo video tweets will be dope.
They'll be good, and I'll be like, "Wow, that looks cool. I'm gonna try it. Oh, I can't do it."
Then just go listen to the music.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to laugh at the poor man's suffering, but just seeing Buttons losing his mind over the fact that Kunio is still sprites.
What do you mean?
Because like they announced the new Kunio game, and it was like Kunio, but it's the past, and he's got armor, and it's whatever ancient sword warrior style, and he's just like it's like, of course, fucking Kunio, just an all caps rage tweet because like the franchise can't move past it, you know. And it's at the same time as like something like River City shows you how cool hot new shit can look, and he just, yeah, it was just a funny moment of realization and defeat, I suppose, because you know
sprites are good.
Those sprites, they're not just that, they hold legacy, especially in Japan. And there's people that, you know, want to see those sprites continue to live on. It's the anti-Morrigan sprite fiasco. People cheer and celebrate those sprites every year. Look, he's got the same little, like, I'm ordering one meal, please, but now he's got the old armor on. Barf.
Yeah, you hit the kids, they say barf.
Anyway, River City 2. Fucking sick. And lastly, just a more of a old news update is one of the devs over at Retro, former staffer Brian Walker, who is senior producer on Metroid Prime 2 and 3.
Those games are good.
Said that Metroid Prime 3 originally was conceptually supposed to be an ambitious open world game. They wanted the ship to be a huge part of an open world traversal system that would have Samus going around tons of locations, way less linear.
That.
And it was really, really big. They weren't able to prototype it, but they did have some details that they were planning. And then they got and then when they got to see the specs for the Wii, they realized none of this would be possible. And so they then had to completely change the idea to what we got.
That's great.
They were looking at the 360 and they were looking at the PS3 and seeing what was possible there and kind of envisioning what they were going to do. But then reality set in as they got handed those specs.
Oh, I guess you could aim and give people wrist pain. That's a good use of, yeah.
The quote is,
you know, it's weird. I feel like
we were all a little concerned. Sorry?
I feel like I'm the only person who got horrible wrist pain after playing Metroid Prime 3.
I didn't find it that bad, but there's like the 3D, again, we talked about the worst ones like fucking Kid Icarus and shit. But anything that required like holding up the remote in that way that you couldn't just casually rest on your lap for a while would be annoying. But yeah, the quote was, we were a little concerned, to be blunt, when they but then they rolled out the Wii remote, and then in unison the team went, okay. And so they just changed it all around. They changed the whole thing to focus around that with a much more linear story. So, well, I mean, in the end, you know, they did what they could and they made that work. But it does kind of make me, like, again, just like earlier, feel like, you know, here we have an example of like what a really fucking good team unable to make what they wanted to because Nintendo was just like, yeah, you're getting like fucking half of what you thought you were.
Owned.
Anyway, let's take a letter.
Hey, let's take one letter, maybe two letter. Depends on how long the letter is and if they're good letters. If they're good letters, we could take one. But if they're shit letters, it's all up to you people. Send it into castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com.
There you go.
Only the good ones. Stop sending in bad ones.
That'll work. That'll tell them.
Not ones that you think are good, like actually good ones.
All right. So Justin Case says, "Hello, Dogborn Woolly, and Wine Drowned Pat. Last week, you sort of implied that Decoy Octopus was, among other things, another black guy who dies first. My brother and I were talking about this, and we came to the conclusion that Decoy was, in fact, a guy in blackface that dies first. Thoughts? Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
We were wrong. Decoy Octopus...
Deeper in blackface than anyone's ever been.
Decoy Octopus is not the black guy who dies first. Donald Anderson fills that trope in, but technically Decoy is the white guy from Mexico in blackface who dies first. Artwork from Yoji, confirms it, that the true Decoy Octopus is a white dude. Correct.
Yeah, no, he's puts Justin to shame, really.
The first instance of blackface in the Kojima universe recorded right there. MGS1. That's the fucking game that needs a remake, really. Well,
you fucking idiot. You just played yourself.
Got one coming in from Caleb. Says, hey, fly kite man and drink wine man. Been thinking about Tetsuya Nomura flat out declaring that Kingdom Hearts 3 is to be the end of the Xenohort saga before immediately following up with 2 additional Xehanort, whatever the fuck, games. I'm sure it's going to be some sort of Nomura technicality, but it still gives a good laugh for me to think about. What are your favorite outright lies in video games?
There's only one that I always think of every single time. Mr. Mikami, is there any chance that this game, Resident Evil 4, will not be a GameCube exclusive? Do you think it could come out on the PlayStation 2? Quote, I will cut my own head off with a chainsaw if Resident Evil 4 comes out on the PlayStation 2, end quote. And, like, the wildest thing about that is that the game was being developed for the PS2 before he said that. So, like, it's not like it wasn't a lie at the time and then it, situation changed. Like, that was, like, 9 months before it came out on PS2.
It was already yeah, okay. I didn't know that part. That's fucking great. A part of my heart always goes towards Hideo trying to imply that he's quitting the MGS games as far back as Snake Eater.
Yeah, well, MGS quit him.
Like, the level of stupid fucking, who's gonna be the director? Not me. Excuse me, I'm out of here. I'm tired of directing this franchise. Only they're
fucking it up. Oh, they're fucking it up. They're stupid.
But, like, you were on the before the halfway point of that franchise when you were saying, I'm leaving, fuck this. You know? No place for Hideo. That's always a funny one. My number one for the Mount Rushmore, because, yeah, the chainsaw is a good one. My number one is quite simply the screenshot of the back of a PS3 circa 2006 when they showed off what it was supposed to be around the same time as the banana controller. You got to see it had a power plug and the switch and 8 or 9 ports. It had 3 Ethernet ports. It had 2 USBs, 2 HDMIs, a fucking
2 HDMIs was always the absolute wildest because the explanation was you could get 2 TVs and plug the PS3 into both and have it be extra widescreen.
It was the biggest, craziest lie ever. The implications of the back of a PS3. And if you haven't seen it, There's a great screenshot on an old site called the UK Resistance, and they have the before and after, where all the before ports are labeled with the word lie, 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 lie.
Oh, that's good. That's
Pointing
good. I like
out
that.
each one. And it's just like the thing you got didn't even remotely approach what you promised, much less the shit that was in the front, the extra ports and the flash drives and the fucking... It was insane. Here, I'm sending you the fucking link.
Oh, PS3 Lie Watch. Oh, I love it.
Oh, the lies. The lies. Yeah, so that's my favorite lie.
Do you remember the PS3 like showcase where they showed off a bunch of games that were coming to the PS3 and like literally every single game they showed was a lie?
Was it? Was that the
Like,
Resistance
that-
year?
Oh, I don't know about that, but like
Oh, Killzone,
like,
rather.
No, it wasn't that year, but it was like they showed off games that were coming out, and like every single game shown was like a fake CG teaser.
Back when they thought they could get away with it. But when they did, though, because my friends would then get hype, you know, and come to work or school and be like, oh, yeah, no, it looks so fucking sick. You know, just...
Yeah, can't wait for Agent for PS3 by Rockstar.
it was just a render. Yeah.
It's not real.
That's the best lie there. Cool. Yeah, I'd say those are two good ones. I'm satisfied with that.
Right.
All right. Everybody, we'll leave it there. Consider the podcast defeated. You have a good one.
Have a good night or day or whatever. Fuck it. Bye.